fish. Fish, nice takedown. Oh, buddy, nice takedown. Hi, y'all. If you're ready to catch some fish today, let's do it. It's time. We're going after catfish again today, and I've got us some live bait and a whole cooler full of cut bait here. So we got options to give them. But I got, on the way out here, I threw the net and got us some just small threadfin shad. We're going to use really small and really big baits today and really give them an offering. So we'll put some of those on a lighter action rod. I've got some gizzard shad here in the floor. One of them I've cut some slits in. I had to get a thumbnail for my last video there before we start today. We'll put that one on whole with the slits in it. This one here I'm going to cut up. We'll use a head and a chunk. So we're going to end up fishing 4 rods. Let me turn this way, y'all. That sun's right behind me. We're going to fish 4 rods today. We're going to suspend baits. After I get them baited up here, I'll show you where we're at, what we're doing on the graph. So hopefully you can relate to your home body of water, wherever you fish, to kind of be able to see how I'm setting up and how I'm going about things today. But enough of this, y'all. Let's get some baits on here. Let me put y'all here in the chest while we get everything situated, and let's get after it, folks. I am pumped up and ready to catch some fish today, man. We got a nice winter day here. The temperature right now, comfortable, low 50s. It's sunny, so it feels a little warmer. The wind's not blowing, even better. So we're going to try to take advantage today and catch us some fish out here and have us a good time. So I'm going to take my little net. Remember to bring this today and dip us a couple of these shad out. These things aren't going to live too terribly long. I've got us a couple dozen in there, I guess. But after they die off, that'd be okay. We'll just put them on as cut bait or whole dead baits. But I'm going to take this circle hook here. This is just a 1/0 size circle hook. I've got 2 of them tied on. I'll show you the rig here as soon as I get these things on the hooks. But this is a Kentucky rig. And it's just 2 hooks, 1/0 size circle hooks. I've got them on a dropper loop. You've got your main line here. This is 30-pound braid, a swivel. I've got 30-pound fluorocarbon here, a little dropper loop down to 1/0 size circle hooks. They're about 12, 18 inches apart, and then at the very bottom, I got a sinker just to get it down there. And what we're going to do is drop this thing straight down under us. And I'm pretty much going to have that sinker on bottom, but the line's going to be tight so that my baits are up off the bottom. We want them kind of suspended there, just off the bottom. Yeah, there's that sinker there. So we'll just raise that up. Now those baits are down there. They're swimming around. We're 40 feet deep here, 41 feet deep right where we're at. So those baits are going to be down there 38, 39 feet deep, just off the bottom. So as these catfish swim along, they got something right there in their face. Same with the rest of these rods. We're going to be suspending all the baits, but these other rods here are going to have significantly bigger baits on here. So this one, we're putting a whole shad down, man. This is a whole gizzard shad. I got a net full of these yesterday. So we're going to put him down there with the slits in him. That's a Carolina rig, 8-ounce egg sinker, swivel, 80-pound monofilament, 10-0 size circle hook, and then a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly right below it. We'll send it down. The next shad here, I'm going to cut up. We'll use a head and a chunk. Give these fish options. I want them having no excuses today. They come up here, work up into this area. And again, I'm going to show you here on the graph in just a second what we're fishing today, what the plan's going to be for today. I want to get these baits on here. I don't want to waste any time. Y'all, I'm fishing maybe around 4 hours today, give or take. I've got some plans this evening, so can't fish right up till dark. And, well, quite honestly, once the sun starts going down, as nice as it feels right now, it's going to get cold quick. So we're just going to fish 3-4 hours-ish, give or take, and hopefully bust some blues, and if we get lucky, maybe a flathead. I've caught flatheads here before. And I actually got a flathead yesterday, which should have been the last video for regular viewers. So here's this rig, same as the other, just has a gizzard shad head on it. We have a little bit of water movement. They're moving a little bit of water at the dam, which is a few miles downriver from here. The current flow, though, is minimal. So we're not going to have a lot of scent distribution, but whatever flow we have, whatever water movement we have through here will certainly be helpful. We'll take it. I'd rather have some current than no current. So we'll just work with what we got. But the real hope for today is that some fish find our baits. I'm hoping that fish are going to be actively working through this area on their way to go feed. And then, guess what? Surprise, we've just got a bait right here waiting on them. Or in this case, 4 baits. So here's this rig again, same thing, just with a chunk. So we'll have the whole bait and the live baits off the front of the kayak and the cut bait pieces off the back, at least to start with. Okay, let me get this set. All right, y'all, we're fishing. Let me get our cutting board cleaned up here. We'll throw out that tail piece right there because we got plenty of bait and it'll help us get some extra scent down there. Okay, so where we're set up here today, this is a place I have fished before in the winter months. Let me turn into the dang sun here. This is a place I fished in the winter months. What you have here, I've got the main channel over here beside me, right? And it gets deep out there, 70, 80 feet deep, just hop, skip, and a jump that way. Right up here, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a little creek that goes right up in here and then to the right where that car's going back up in there. And right there was a shad flipping right here to the left. You get these warm, sunny days in the winter. That's my phone, y'all. I'm gonna have to turn that thing off. Y'all just checked your phones. I know you did. In the wintertime, warm sunny days, you get these dark colored banks, rocky banks. It'll heat up the shallows there, sometimes a few degrees. That'll get all those bait fish moving up, and then guess what? The predator fish going in right in behind them. And so what I'm wanting to do is put us in the path that big fish are going to take as they move up into either this creek or up onto the flat here. And so let me show you here on the graph, and there may be a glare with that sun right overhead. It's about, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock right now, so it's right, we're right here at the peak sun, right, I guess, if you will. Right here, we're sitting on top of that right there, those X's. So out here to the right, that's the main river channel. This white area here on the screen, that's the main river channel. And you can see with the contour lines, it comes off real sharp and then a gradual, very gradual out here to our right. So what I've done is I've put us here in a situation where as fish work up and down the outside ledge here, the bottom edge of the ledge, they're going to have a chance at picking up on our scent of our baits right here. Then, if they want to move up, right here's the path they're going to follow. I don't know how well it's going to see it. Frustrating with the sun here, the way it is, but this area right here on this flat, the way it comes off and the way this old creek channel ran down through here, it creates a point. And so we're kind of off the edge of this point, and we're right here in the path of this old creek. And you can see how the contours change from here and also coming from this direction, and it kind of makes like a little funnel going up in here. And that's where that old creek channel would have come out back in the day before they flooded this and made the reservoir. This was where we're sitting at now, may very well have been dry land, essentially, or right at the creek mouth of what the original river would have looked like. All of this came up. All of the water raised really high when they built the dams and made the reservoir. A lot of places that, like up here on this flat, for instance, that would have been farmland back before they made the reservoirs. But now it's submerged and it's just a deeper flat up there. Well, this time of year when the water's down for winter drawdown, it's a flat that's a few feet deep, but you get my point. So what we're doing is we're just trying to put ourselves in the path that fish are going to take. Either fish that are working up and down the main channel here on the edge, or fish that are going up into that creek. I don't know when they're going to go up in here to eat, but I know there's bait up there, and I know the path they're going to take. So when you do that, when you set up how we have today, it's not a matter of if you get bit, if fish work through here. It's when. Will it happen when you're on the water? That's the $1 million question, folks. I don't know, but you know, because if you're seeing this, we got bit today. This video, we wouldn't post no skunk video on this channel. So if you're seeing this, good news. These fish, they worked through, they bit while we were out here. So I'm gonna put y'all on the chest today. We're going unedited today, raw and uncut. We're gonna sit out here, tell stories, and live the best life we possibly can while we wait on these fish to bite. And have us a good time today, man. This time of year, winter months, and of course this is totally dependent upon where you live. If you're down in Florida or somewhere way down south, you may have better winter days and more better winter days than some of us farther north. Me here in Tennessee, I may have more better winter days than some of you up in Ohio and further north. But this out here, folks, this is a good day, man. Mid-50, low to mid-50s in temps, sunny, so it feels warmer, and no wind. This is a nice day, and you got to take advantage when you get these, because there's just so many times in the winter where it's super cold, super windy, pouring rain, just nasty, dreary days, man. So we're going to live it up out here today. The fish are a bonus today, but I do hope we get some, obviously, and for video purposes, it's kind of a big deal. So we need to get some fish. But this place, and there's nothing special about it. Just like I talked about this the last video I filmed there yesterday. I was fishing a different creek mouth. Man, you could set up, you can replicate this all up and down the river. All of these creeks are going to have some bait in them. Now, some are going to have more than others. Some are going to have maybe more threadfin than gizzard shad. Some might have skipjack while others do not. It's very dependent upon the creek, but the concept is the same no matter what. And so this place was one. I've fished this body of water a lot through my life. This is close to home. So I've kind of learned through the years, this just comes from experience, of which of these creeks maybe produce better at certain times of year. And this one here is one that I've had some success, especially the last couple years in the winter months. These December, January, February months, I have busted not only some fish here, but I've busted some big fish, both blues and flatheads. And so I know that they use this creek to feed in. It's just a matter of when. It just gets down to timing it. Timing is everything. And normally, most times of the year, I wouldn't want to be starting my trip 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon when that sun is directly overhead. I wouldn't want to do that, especially when you've got a situation like we do today where the water's fairly clear out here. I mean, it's fairly clear. There's a lot of visibility in the water. I don't like that, but in the winter months, this time of day up to 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, that's going to be your best chance at getting some fish in those shallows, right? Like that's when the water's going to be heating up the most. So that, along with the fact it's just more comfortable for me to fish during these hours, we out here. And while I wouldn't do this in the dead of summer, in winter months, this is the time period I typically fish. And so hopefully today we're gonna have some fish active during this time. And we've got yesterday was a bit warmer. day, not as warm as today, and today's not going to be as warm as tomorrow. So we've got a little bit of this heating trend, and I think between the afternoon temperatures getting warmer and the nighttime temperatures being not as cold, we're going to have some more fish working up in the shallows, or at least shallower than today, maybe tomorrow. And, you know, you can make an argument either way. I know a lot of people like fishing super shallow and just picking those fish off as they've come up into the shallows already. Me personally, it's not really my comfort zone. Regular viewers, man, those of you that come fishing with me regularly here, you know I like deep structure. I like catching those fish on their way into and out of these places. And so when I see a creek like this, man, when fish work up in here, like what fell over, he's pissed at his dog. He's yelling, I hear him all the way over here. I don't know what he's mad at it for. Maybe it's trying to roll in dog crap or something. Daphne used to do that back when she was a puppy. But when fish move up in there in that creek, man, they're going to chase bait. When they get up in there, they could be anywhere. They could be literally anywhere, because they're going to spread out. They're going to follow bait. They're going to go roam and look. But getting into and out of that creek, coming out of the main channel, they're going to follow that path. And that path isn't very big to get up in there. It's not very big. Some of them are, but this one's not. So I want to cut those fish off. That's just, it's a higher percentage play for me for a couple reasons. One, because if we're up there in the creek and we've got baits cast out, it's possible there could be fish up in there swimming around that'll just never find our baits because they're chasing shad or yellow bass or crappie or whatever, and they just never come to the part of the creek that we're in. Whereas out here, we know them fish are coming to swim through our baits before they go up there. So it's a better percentage play. The other thing too with this is that a lot of days fish turn on, they become active, but maybe they don't move all the way up to the shallows. Maybe there's some of them buried down in the mud out here in the main river channel, right? They're just buried in it, just dormant, inactive, laying on bottom right there in the mud. They get active, they turn on. Maybe today they come up to this point here that we're setting at, and that's as high as they go. They come up here. If there's food here, they'll eat what's here, go back down. Maybe if it's a little bit more active day, maybe they come up here. Maybe they keep going. Maybe they go up to the top of the drop up here on this point. Or maybe they go up to the top edge of this creek, and that's as far as they go today. Not every day, just because fish turn on and feed, there's bait all over. Now, there's going to be more in the shallows, but there's going to be some out here too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some schools of shad come across our screen today, just as we're sitting here. And so if you're fishing super shallow, it's possible that maybe fish have turned on, they fed, and they just never came to you. They just never got up there to where you're at. So for me, it's a higher percentage play, I feel like, to fish deep structure. Fish are shallow part of the time, but you can find fish deep 7 days a week, 365. So I want to play the percentages. That's what I want to do. It's for me, I want to put my time in on a body of water or a particular structure and a chance that's going to give me the best opportunity to succeed. And while it's a lot of fun to catch fish shallow, man, it's when you catch them out here, deep water, you know, they're going to drive down. They're going to go deep. When you're up in the shallows and you're fishing 3 feet, 5 feet deep, they can't go down, right? Like they go side to side. They come up, thrash the surface. It's fun. It's exciting. But you're going to have a lot more days where you're going to bust big fish out here deep than what you are in the shallows, because it's not an everyday thing that they're going to be up there, especially the big fish. And so I just feel better about fishing deep structure. I'm more comfortable with it. I trust my ability to read a map and locate these places. And this is one of those places that's just, I can't remember when I fished it for the first time, but it's a place that I've come to for sure the last couple years, 2 or 3 years in the winter months, and I've done well. And so we're going to try it again today. But once you kind of learn how to read that contour map and understand how fish are going to move along those contours, it makes fishing a lot easier, man. It makes going to a new body of water a lot easier. You know, I fish we've got a national tournament trail that I fished the last couple years, and it's coming back for 2025 as well. I think the schedule is going to be announced here in the next couple weeks, but it's when you learn how to read that map, contour map, you know places that you should be fishing. When you go to a new body of water, you've never been there before you ever set foot in that town, you know some places. You've already marked places on a map where you should be able to get some fish. So it makes pre-fishing so much easier. You don't have to go out there with just a hope and a prayer that you're going to get lucky. You can pick out a bunch of spots on a map in advance, then find you some boat ramps or launch sites near those spots, and then go check them out. And so when you show up to pre-fishing area for a tournament, or maybe you're just going on vacation and you got 3 or 4 days that you can fish a new body of water, you go in there with a plan. And you can eliminate water very quickly based on the results you're getting while you're out there versus just showing up and trying to learn on the fly and stuff like that. So highly recommend learning how to understand and read a contour map. The Buck Perry books is what I learned from. They're amazing. They read like a damn textbook. It's a tough read. It's a very tough read. That's probably why the Buck Perry system never really took off. Buck Perry was an amazing fisherman. He was a lousy salesman, a lousy marketer. We all got things we're good at. Marketing and sales wasn't Buck Perry's strong point, but he was a hell of a fisherman, and he's the godfather of structure fishing. All the terms, the terminology, a lot of what we know about how fish move and relate to structure, Buck Perry figured that out long before I was ever born. And so his books are an excellent resource if you can get through it. And you got to just kind of want it, man. You got to just make yourself get through. That's how it was for me. Like, I wanted to learn it. And so I sat down and I took notes and read it again until I got it. And there's other ways to go about it too. Like, there's a lot of YouTube videos dedicated to learning how to read contour maps. Don Dixon, for instance, he was one of Buck Perry's students in Buck Perry's classes. He has a whole channel dedicated to explaining Buck's teachings. I wish Don Dixon had done more on the water videos. Just from a personal standpoint, I'd like to see him apply Buck's teachings on the water, but he's had some health problems and can't really get on the water too much. But just his videos alone are a good resource for somebody who either don't want to spend the money on the Buck Perry books, or maybe can't find the Buck Perry books because they're so old. I don't know if they're even still in print now. Or two, maybe you're just somebody who learns better by hearing it explained versus reading it. And we all learn different ways. And so Don Dixon does do a great job of explaining Buck's teachings on his YouTube videos. So that's a good resource for you. We've also too, just, Buck Perry, I've talked about him a lot on these videos, but he was a bass fisherman. Everything that he was doing was geared toward catching bass. But with that said, fish is a fish is a fish. His teachings can be applied to other species, whether it be catfish like I've done it, crappie, muskie, you name it. Buck's teachings apply. You just have to tweak them to fit whatever species is you're after. Buck would start out, if he rolled into town first time fishing a new body of water. And of course, in his days, he didn't have these electronics. He didn't have a Navionics chip with the whole lake mapped out for him before he got there. He had to do his own mapping. And so he would start out trolling the shallows and making his own maps, figuring out where the break lines were, where the drops were, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, when you're trolling for bass, you can troll at a lot faster speeds than what you're going to be able to troll for catfish, right? Like catfish aren't, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. Hell, I've caught catfish trolling 2 and 3 miles an hour. Hell, I caught one on a rattle trap going like 3 miles an hour one time. But that's the exception, not the rule. If you go out trolling 3 miles an hour for catfish, you're going to catch maybe a handful of them per year. You're not going to catch them on the daily. However, you go out and you troll half a mile an hour, you're going to catch a lot more, right? So you have to kind of tweak Buck's teachings for the fish that you're going after. But again, a fish is a fish is a fish. And so, you know, I've been able to kind of take his teachings and apply it to what I do. And it's been a big help, man. It's just been it's helped me tremendously. I've caught so many more fish, so many big fish because of what I learned from him. So I recommend you doing something. And if you want to just kind of get to the meat of it, I ain't trying to sell you on nothing here, but Daniel from Catfish Sumo, the owner of Catfish Sumo, and I, we did make a master class a few years ago, and part of that class was map study, picking out spots. We put up maps, contour maps, and we went through and like, okay, in this situation, this type of structure, here's what it is. Here's how we would set up on it if we're anchor fishing. Here's what we would do if we were trolling, dragging baits, etc. And we kind of showed that, right, like from a catfish perspective. But really, if you want to just get down to the nuances of it, Buck Perry's books, his teachings, man, it's impossible to beat those. As the airplane man flies over, you think if I caught a fish right now, that airplane up there could see it? It'd have to be a pretty big fish. I'm gonna need y'all to catch a gollywhopper for airplane man to be able to see it. Probably better he don't see it. He might circle back around and annoy us some more with all that noise. But yeah, the tournament scene, folks, we got, I think, if I understand correctly, this coming season, we're going to have 5 tournaments east of the Mississippi and 5 tournaments west of the Mississippi. And then the end of the year national tournament, national championship, I guess, in Louisiana. So I'll tell you, I'm not going to be fishing the tournaments west of the Mississippi. It's just, I've considered it. I've thought about it. It's just too far a drive to go catch catfish. If I'm going to drive 15 hours, man, I'd rather go to the beach. I don't want to go 15 hours to western Texas, Oklahoma, wherever to catch the same catfish I can catch here at home. So I'm just not going to do that. I will fish some of the east of the Mississippi tournaments, but I may not fish all. I may not fish the whole trail. This year, they're changing the Angler of the Year format. Last year, it was our 5 best tournaments. We had 9 tournaments total, and it scored our 5 best to determine Angler of the Year. And of course, Ryan Bortz won that. I finished second. This coming year, it's changing. It's still going to be your 5 best tournaments, I think. It may not be 5. They may have changed that or cut that back. But here's the kicker with it. One of your tournaments has to be the opposite side that you live on as far as the Mississippi River goes. So for me, I live in Tennessee. I'm east of the Mississippi. So for me to be eligible for Angler of the Year, I have to go fish at least one tournament west of the Mississippi. And so I look at the Angler of the Year situation for next year. It's, even if I did one term, I'm going to be at a huge disadvantage. I'm not going to win because there's going to be 2 or 3 guys that are going to fish all 10 tournaments, east and west of Mississippi. They're going to make the travel. And so they're ultimately, it's going to come down to them. They're going to have more opportunities to earn points toward that Angler of the Year title. And so, and kudos to them. I mean, if they're going to travel all over the damn country, driving 15, 20 hours for some of them, depending on where they live. I mean, if you live in North Carolina and you got to drive all the way to West Texas for a tournament or someplace like that, you're going to put in 20 hours drive. So, you know what, they've earned it if they do it. But for me, I'm not going to do it, and so therefore I'm not going to be in contention for Angler of the Year. So I'm not going to be the tournaments that are east of the Mississippi. I'm going to fish some of them, but I'm going to kind of cherry pick, I think, what I want to fish. If the timing's good, if the weather's good, if it's somewhere I want to fish, I'm going to do those. But I'm not going to be like last year where I'm in the last couple of years where I'm making plans, I'm making travel arrangements around the tournament schedule. I'm just not going to do that this coming year. But I will still be traveling around to fish, but it's just going to be more of when it's convenient for me and where I want to go versus a tournament schedule. Some of the other things too, I listened to a live stream, I guess. Our tournament director, the other day, he did a live stream and brought in some people that had fished the tournaments to do like an end of the year recap, I guess, if you would, just talking about some of the tournaments, some of the events, how things went, some changes people would like to be made, yada, yada, yada. And I had plans that night. I wasn't able to participate in the live stream, but one of the things that got brought up was the changing of when you're going to be allowed to pre-fish. Apparently, there's been some chatter, and I try to stay out of the noise. Me personally, like I got enough drama around me as it is just from doing this YouTube crap. I try to stay out of it best I can. And one of the things that people have complained about is, I guess, people like Ryan Bortz, myself, Adam Flegel, people that have the option, the ability to travel a little more and are able to go and pre-fish in advance of these tournaments, whereas maybe some of them, work schedule, family life, stuff like that, they pretty much just have to show up the day before the tournament and go fish, and they feel it's an unfair advantage. And so there's been talk of maybe limiting how much and when we can pre-fish for a tournament. And look, I don't care. Personally, I don't care. It's not going to affect me one bit because, again, I know how to read that map, and I can put myself in contention for catching fish whether I've had practice time or not. Practice time helps because then once you've pulled up in places on the map, you can go eliminate some of them pre-fishing. But, I get people's complaints with that. It's just, at the same time, too, it's like, if you've done no prep work and you show up the night before the tournament just going out there and winging it, should you really be upset if you don't win? Like, should you be upset that you got beat by people who put in the time and the effort? Like it's, a lot of people, I think, believe that tournaments are won by the luckiest fishermen, and there's some luck involved for sure. Look at this person down there out here, damn, what the hell is that thing? And why are they doing it over here by us? What the hell's going on? I'm dumber for having seen this. It's wintertime. It's wintertime, folks. If that guy falls in, he's going to die. He's out here on a damn electric surfboard or something, out here on the damn Tennessee River. Every time I go out in public, I swear I drop 30 IQ points. I've seen them things before at the beach, but that's the first one I've seen on Tennessee River. And in the wintertime at that. Lord Almighty. Well, he's got some range on that thing, though. He's headed downriver. But it broke my train of thought. I was going something about the time and effort you put in. I mean, you show up the night before the tournament. You've done no prep work. Do you really think you're going to compete? You know, and of course, some people do that, and you can just kind of get lucky. Hell, I went up there to Owensboro, Kentucky last year. Never fished there before, showed up the night before the tournament. I just used the boat ramp closest to our check-in to give myself maximum time in the water, and I walked out of there cashing a check. Now, it wasn't my best day. I didn't catch many fish, didn't catch any big ones, but I done enough to get myself second place and cash a check. So it can be done. You can get lucky. But when you look at fishing tournaments over the course of time, you might see a different name up at the winner, but you're going to see the same people near the top of the leaderboard over and over and over again. And why is that? That's not luck, folks. That's just consistency. It does take some luck. I'll be the first to admit, you got to get lucky to win, right? Like, you can put yourself in the right place on the water, but you need some things to go right on tournament day to be able to win. You've got to have big fish work through. You got to hook them big fish. You got to keep them hooked. You got to get them landed. You got to get them scored right on your measuring board. Like, there's a lot of things that have to go right. You go to the tournament check-in on any given tournament, and somebody's going to be talking about how they had the winning fish and it broke them off at the side of their kayak, or they had it in the kayak and on their measuring board and it flopped off, cost them the tournament. Okay, that's luck, right? That's bad luck in their case, but there's some luck involved. For everything to go right that you need to win, there's luck involved in that. It's not luck that you put yourself in position to win, to put yourself in position to catch those fish, but there's some luck involved for everything to go right to get the W on tournament day. But I think a lot of people in tournaments, they go out there just needing to get lucky. They need that to have any chance, and that's, you know, and of course we need those people. We need people like that, because those boost the winnings, right? Like, you need people like that showing up to boost the pots. But it's those people that oftentimes are the ones who want to complain and try to get rule changes that ultimately won't make a bit of difference other than make them feel worse when next year pre-fishing time gets cut way down and they still get beat. You know what I mean? Like, it's... And listen, I'm not a fan of... I've seen this happen with my bass fishing friends in the bass world. I'm not a fan of putting any rule in place that can't be enforced. Because all rules really do is deter honest people, right? Like, every one of these tournaments, I don't care if it's a kayak tournament where we're measuring fish on a measuring board, or a boat tournament where they're physically taking fish to a weigh-in and getting their weight. If a person wants to cheat, they can. You could go out, catch fish in advance, have them tied up somewhere in a cage. You know, that kind of thing. I don't think it happens widespread, but every year you see some scandal in the tournament world, right? Like there's always the walleye people shoving lead down them walleye, or hell, I've threw my cast net before over cages out in the water where I'm sure bass fishermen had stored their fish for their tournaments. Like there's always going to be a small percentage of people that's just going to break the rules. They're going to cheat. But for the most part, I think 99.5% of people in tournaments are honest people. But these rules like pre-fishing or tournament competitors communicating with each other, how the hell do you enforce it? You know, like, if you're, I mean, you can do it via polygraph afterwards, but those are expensive. And your bigger tournaments will obviously have them, but small time stuff like we're doing, it's not cost effective to do one. So how, you know, if Jim Bob wants to go and fish one of our tournaments, and maybe pre-fishing's allowed a day or two before the actual tournament, that's the only time you get. How the hell is anybody going to know if Jim Bob went down there all week, the week before? You ain't going to know. I mean, unless he's posting all over social media or somebody sees him out there, ain't nobody going to know. And if a person sees him out there, they're not going to be able to say anything because they wasn't supposed to be out there either. So you can't enforce it. Again, all it does is deter honest people. Same thing with the communicating with other tournament competitors. This happened down in, I forget what tournament it was, but it was a bass tournament. And one of my bass fishing friends was in this tournament, and another competitor in the tournament tried to have him disqualified. So here's what they had done. And y'all tell me what the hell you're supposed to do in this situation. So they had created a rule that said tournament fishermen could not communicate with each other during the tournament. They couldn't share information or communicate with each other during the tournament. And the reason for this rule change, the reason they put this in place to begin with, was because there was a sense that cliques, friends groups would be sharing information on the water. Maybe you got 3 or 4 or 5 guys, good friends in the bass fishing tournament. One of them figures out that, hey, fish are hitting a green chatterbait in 3 foot of water. He calls his buddies like, hey man, I'm on them. Chatterbait, 3 foot of water, whatever. And, he helps his buddies out kind of indirectly with that, right? So they're wanting to deter that. That was their goal. Or they're sharing information. They're going down there and pre-fishing as a team, basically. You get 3 or 4 or 5 guys. One of them will take this section of the lake, this one takes this section, this one down here, and then they all communicate and figure out where fish are at, what they're doing, and they formulate a plan for tournament day. They share that information going into it, right? That's what the rule was trying to deter. They were trying to level the playing field amongst people. But here's what happened. And again, how the hell do you enforce this? How do you know if 3 guys who are sharing an Airbnb talked about their pre-fishing over dinner that night? Like, you don't know. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of policing it. But what happened? What happened to my friend? He's out on the water. It's tournament day. He's out there, and he was making a run to a different spot. Like, he'd been fishing an area, and he was going to make a run and go fish a different place. And apparently it was like a pretty tight creek area. And so he was motoring out, pedaling out, whatever the hell it was, but he's moving along, and he passes another tournament fisherman. And as he's going by, he just says, hey, how's it going? Just being polite. That other tournament fisherman then calls the tournament director and tries to have him disqualified. Because at that point in time, my buddy was ahead of that person in the tournament and in contention to cash a check. And by letter of the law, not supposed to communicate with other competitors, you're not supposed to share information. That person thought they had grounds to have him disqualified because as he's going by, going to the next spot, he just waves and says, "Hey, how's it going?" Now, most people, I think most rational, sane people out there, those of you watching this video, will probably be like me and be like, "Man, that's just small talk. That's just being polite as you pass somebody on the water. Hey, how you doing? How's it going?" But the way the rule was written, by letter of the law, if that person responds with, "Oh, hey, it's going great," and you see they've got a spinnerbait tied on, then you've just gained information. Or if they say, "Oh, I'm struggling out here today," and you see the spinnerbait tied on, you just gained information. It's just, it was stupid. The whole thing was stupid. It was, and they eventually ended up doing away with that rule because, again, you can't enforce it. You can't enforce it. When all these people are traveling to these tournaments and they're all sharing an Airbnb and they're all friends, you're not going to rat out your friends. And it's like, what the hell are you trying to do? All you're doing by having that rule in place is just creating drama when you have these people who are getting beat fair and square and they see a way to get somebody knocked out ahead of them. So I don't know what's going to happen with our rules in the tournament scene as far as, I don't think there's going to be any rule put in place as far as communication or anything like that. But the pre-fishing, there's definitely going to be some tweak to that. And for me personally, again, I don't care. I don't care one bit how much you limit my pre-fishing. If I want to fish a particular body of water, I can just show up whenever pre-fishing's allowed, fish the tournament, and then stay afterwards and fish longer if I want to put in more time to it. It's not a big deal to me. I don't care. I really don't care. Hell, the fact is, most of the time when I go somewhere and I'm pre-fishing, hell, I'm trying to find bait. Now, the South Carolina tournament, the last tournament we fished, I had a really hard time catching bait. And so I had to spend a big portion of my time doing that. The Louisiana tournament, before that one, I had a really difficult time catching bait. I had to spend a whole day before the tournament going out and trying to catch bait. And then I'd wasted a day trying to just find access spots to even get on the river down there before that. So hell, my pre-fishing days, I lost 2 full days that I didn't even get on the water. And so for me, if a person wants to limit pre-fishing, I could make a strong argument that it benefits me. Because let me tell you what happens. Oftentimes, I'm going to kick back and relax here too while we shoot the bull waiting on these fish. But oftentimes what happens is, let's say tournaments are on Saturdays, right? I may go over and plan on getting into town on Monday or Tuesday ahead of the tournament. Well, if I take bait with me to get started with over there, by the time tournament day rolls around, I'm either out of bait or the bait I've taken with me has gone bad. It's rotted, right? And obviously on tournament day, money's on the line. I want to have the best bait possible. I want to have the freshest bait possible. So I'm going to restock before the tournament. But if you limit pre-fishing to 1 day before the tournament or 2 days before the tournament, well, hell, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Let's say it's 2 days before the tournament. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here and catch bait at home 2.5, 3 days before the tournament. go over there, maybe do an afternoon session on the first pre-fishing day, maybe do a full day the day before, and then fish the tournament, and I'll still have bait left over that I took with me. I'm not going to have to restock on bait. So I could make a strong argument that limiting pre-fishing is going to help me, because I'm not going to be wasting a bunch of time when I get over there. And then once the tournament's over, all them guys are leaving, they're going back home. Well, after every tournament, we all offer up each other's bait, right? Like, every time I'm leaving, I'm coming back to Tennessee, I'm always like, hey, does anybody want my bait, leftover bait, whatever? So if I want to stay and stick around and fish another day or two, I can just get other people's bait who's heading home, and then it's possible I maybe could just fish several days over there and never have to fish for bait at all wherever we end up. Now, that won't be possible everywhere we go, because some places maybe the preferred bait is just something that's native to that body of water that we don't have here. Like, well, South Carolina is a good example. South Carolina, they have white perch. We don't have them here. We have skipjack here, but they're not in South Carolina, so they're not a native species, and therefore they're not a legal bait there. So it's not like I could load up on skipjack here and go fish South Carolina. I've got to go over there and catch some bait, or catch some shad here and take them over there, you know, something that is legal and is native to their waters. But tournaments that are in places that we have some mutual native species as far as bait goes, like, man, if you're going to cut me off to fishing only one day before the tournament or 2 days, like, I'm going to show up with a cooler full of bait and I'll be ready to go. I can check a lot of places in a day, day and a half, and figure out a pretty solid plan of where I'm going to have a chance to catch fish on tournament day. So, bottom line is I don't care. You know, the tournament director during that live stream was asking the people who tuned into it there to weigh in their thoughts. Is it important? Is it not? What would their advice be? How would they go about it? I don't care. It matters not to me, one way or the other. I don't care. I think what you got to do, in order to grow the tournament scene, and this will sound terrible for me to say this, because I'm friends with Kayak Mike, the tournament director. I think he's done a fantastic job running the tournaments. But I don't care if the tournament scene grows. I really don't. You know, if I like fishing the tournaments, I've had fun doing it, but if I never fished another tournament, I wouldn't feel like I was missing out. And there's times honestly, I've not wanted to fish the tournaments, whether it's because of the timing of it, the weather, the fact they're always on Saturdays, busy boat days and stuff. Like, there's been times I really didn't want to fish, or maybe went out and didn't really enjoy myself during the tournament. So I don't really, you know, tournament fishing's, it's one of them things, I'll do it. I'll have fun most of the time with it, but if I never fished another one, life doesn't stop for me. But if you do want to grow the tournament scene, I think what you got to do is you got to grow the overall numbers of people that are fishing for catfish out of the kayak. Bass fishing, there's a ton of bass fishing tournaments. There's, well, the Hobie Bass Open Series is apparently shut down for 2025. They're not having it. But there's the Bassmaster one, I think KBF, maybe there's a couple other bigger ones there. There's so many people that bass fish out of kayaks, though, that they have a lot of people to pull from to get into their tournaments. So they still have the same people complaining about the same things as we do in the catfish scene. The difference is we just don't have the numbers of overall people fishing out of kayaks for catfish as they do. So our tournament scene is smaller. Same problems, no matter how big or small your scene is, but it's just, to get more people in the tournaments, you got to have more people just in general life doing whatever the tournament is, whether it's bass fishing, catfishing, crop fishing, whatever. And so I don't know how you really grow that part of the sport. It's grown a lot, especially, I mean, since I started YouTube back in, I guess 2015 or 16, I posted my first video. Back then, I never saw anybody else catfishing out of a kayak. There was a handful of people online and forums and stuff. We would communicate with each other, but everybody was spread out across the country. It wasn't like groups of people. But now, I mean, there's significantly more people now than what there was back then. But I bet you, man, nationwide, people that would consider themselves kayak catfishermen, let's say people that go out trying to catch catfish out of a kayak at least. Oh, fish, nice takedown. Oh, buddy, nice takedown. Oh, buddy, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good fish. Boy, he's still pulling. He's not slowing down, man. That's a good fish right there, folks. We just got nailed. I can't remember what bait this was. The head, maybe? I think this is the head, the gizzard shad head, maybe. Yeah, it is, because we had our whole gizzard shad up front. This is a good one, y'all. This is a good one. We're about an hour into this. This took a while, but this one's going to be worth the wait right here. Man, I felt the kayak literally rock when he took off. Like, I had the butthole puckered. It's one thing when fish hit the front rods and start to lean you a little bit, but when you're just kicked back with your feet up and all of a sudden one of your back rods gets pulled over, it's a little bit of adrenaline spike there, folks. Oh man, he's gonna get up there in my front line. Oh, buddy. Yeah, he's gonna get in that front line. It's just happening. It's going where he wants. I'm just hanging on with this one. This is a beast. I don't know what he is, honestly. I don't know if it's a blue or a flathead. I haven't felt any rolling yet. Man, y'all. I was hoping to bust a big one today. I got a big one yesterday. Yesterday, I think it was about 2 hours into the trip, we got the big one. I started about the same time yesterday, so yesterday I got the big blue, I got a flathead, and I got another small channel cat, all within just a few minutes of each other. It was like they just turned on. Okay, I think this might be a blue. I think I felt him roll then. But yeah, they were just all kind of boom, boom, boom. But overall, yesterday was kind of I won't say a dud of a day, but I mean, I got that one big fish. The flathead was small, and the other few fish I got were all small. I'm fishing Fort Loudon. And I've said other times I fish Fort Loudon, I typically look for about a bite an hour is what I'm hoping to get. So we fished 4 hours today. I'd like to get about 4 fish. That's a good day. But I'm hoping out of them 4 fish, 1 or 2 of them is going to be good size. I can go down to Watts Bar, which is the reservoir below this, and I'd expect more fish per hour, but maybe not get as good a quality. Less fish here, better quality, I feel like. Boy, he's pulling. My biggest blue ever came out of here. this body of water, so there's some big ones in here. We got one there yesterday. Look at all them bubbles coming up, man. You see all them bubbles coming up where he's releasing the pressure? Or, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm excited, folks, can't get my words out. He's releasing them gases because we're bringing him up slow, not that I could bring him up quick if I wanted to. Okay, there's our other line. He did get all up in it. Oh, buddy, that's a good one. That's a good, he's honestly not as big as I thought he was. He's not as big as I thought he was going to be, folks. That's, he's a dang good fish, and he has destroyed our lines right there. We're going to have to cut that mess. But that's a really good fish, but I thought he was significantly bigger than that. I'm still happy with it, though. Anytime I get a fish like that, I'm going to go home happy today. I told you, folks, first thing, I said, I don't know what the hell's going to happen today. But if you're seeing this video, something good happened. And this is one of those good things that happened right here. Come here, fish. Come here. I'll tell you what, let me, you know what you all didn't do? You hang out there a second, fish. I'm gonna give him some slack here. Y'all didn't set up the damn camera mount. I can't count on yous for nothing. Y'all don't do diddly poo to help a boy out here. Hey, let's fist pump that already there, folks. Let me set y'all up here a minute. Let me set y'all up there, get yous out of the way while I try to land this thing. I remember to put a glove in here today. Yesterday, went to land the fish, didn't have no glove. I guess I'd blown it out of the kayak driving down the road or something. I don't know. We prepared today, though. This is a good fish. He's got some kind of mark on his head. I got to be careful with these other hooks from the other line. Okay. Yeah, he's still, all them bubbles we've seen, he's still decompressing. Okay. Oh, buddy. Yes. Oh, man, that's awesome. There goes the hook, too. We are going to be cutting some lines after this, folks. He's made a mess of that front line there, but I don't care. This is totally worth a tangle. Totally worth a tangle to get this beast. This is a Bam Bam Bigelow beast from the east right here, buddy. Okay. Oh, dang, camera's crooked. Y'all fix the camera for me, would you? Let me get that screen. There we go. Okay. Hey, do me a solid here, would you? Take a picture of me and this fish. This fish said he wants a picture of me. We got the sun behind us, unfortunately. Yes, man. Look at the gut on this one. Yesterday, a big fish was really long. Skinny for its size, but really long. This one's got some girth to him. He's got some weight on him. My gosh, and that's my phone again. I got to turn that thing off, y'all. Y'all gonna be reaching down checking your phones instead of looking at this fish. Awesome. This makes me happy, y'all. Yes. All right, let's let him go. We're gonna let him go. We're gonna cut some lines, drop some more baits down, and hopefully he's got some friends coming through. We'll see you, buddy. Yes. Got us a big one, man. Everything the rest of the day is downhill. Smooth sailing downhill the rest of the day. Man. Oh, man, that's 2 days in a row, y'all. I had been struggling since I got home from Florida to get anything going. And the stars have aligned for me the last 2 days. Well, look at that mess. That is absolutely awful. That fish done a number on us, folks. It's okay. It'll take a minute. Y'all bear with me here. This is part of catfishing. If you are going to fish with this many rods this close together in a kayak, you're begging for it. And every time I drop down 4 lines that are just a few feet apart, I'm begging for it. I am. I fully admit I am. I get a fair amount of tangles throughout the year, I do. But when you get a tangle and it's a fish like that, it's worth it. Okay. Look at that. He left the head on too. That fish right there didn't even want our head bait. It still looks good, but we've got so many. We've got so many shad. Yesterday, I made one throw. It was one of the best throws I've ever made, apparently. Because I got a whole big bag of shad out of the deal in one throw. And they were all gizzard shad too. Like, it was one of the best throws I've ever made. Okay. Put our sinker back on. There it is. These sinkers here, I've talked about these before, but it's a good time to talk about it again. These are Catfish Sumo sinkers, and if you look there, that green piece there in the middle, that's a liner. So when you run your line through, the rough part there on the lead, it's not causing abrasion to your line. These sinkers, man, to my knowledge, Catfish Sumo is the only company that has those inserts, and it's a huge help. It really saves your line, especially if you're somebody like me that's lazy and don't retie leaders or knots very often. It'll save you in the long run. And them sinkers, they're virtually the same price as anybody else's egg sinker, so no reason not to use them. We'll get this back on, stick that bait on there. Man, I'm pumped up, y'all. We didn't get any other bites with it. He apparently was just riding solo, Jason Derulo style, but man, that right there, totally worth it, y'all. And you know why we caught him? Because we read the map, read the contour map. We know how fish are going to move through here. Don't know if he was going up the ledge or up into this creek. Either way, you know what? It don't matter. Because we were where we needed to be. All right, we done got that one retied and rebaited. We were where we needed to be with a bait in that fish's face when he turned on and was on the move. And it paid off for us. And that was a hell of a fight. If that fish had come off, I would have swore he was bigger. He fought way above his weight class. The one yesterday, I thought it was going to be significantly smaller than it turned out to be. But that one there was a nice surprise. Okay, we're going to cut this too. He's got it all tangled all to hell. I'm not too concerned about losing line. I've got more than enough line on those reels, and it's time for me to switch out my line anyway. I've been a little lazy about that this year. I normally change my line every 3 to 4 months usually. But this line here has been on here for a few months. It's been long enough that I don't remember when I done it. So it's time for sure. So I need to do that soon. I'll probably take a day whenever the weather turns south again, or turns sour. It's all nasty outside and cold. I'm going to take some time and re-spool everything. We'll rehook this thing. We'll just drop this shad. Well, we got plenty. Let's go ahead and grab another one. I'm still going to use a whole one here, though. Let's go cut some slits in him. But I'll take a day in the winter, re-spool. I'll tie some new rigs, both skipjack rigs, catfish rigs. I got to tie up a bunch more carp rigs. And I typically do that on just the nasty weather days. If it's raining, cold, snowing, just sitting in the house, just watching the boob tube, I can sit there and watch it while I'm tying rigs. Be productive. Dadgummit. We got somebody in a boat coming over here on us. I guess they're going to come talk to us or something. Can't be left the hell alone anytime anymore. No matter where you go, folks. I'm just too antisocial for my own good. That's my problem. I'd rather talk to myself than talk to other people. Let's get this on there. We're going to drop that whole shad down. We offer options. Small baits, big baits, different sections of cut baits. There we go. That fish cost us some time right there, didn't he? But it's worth it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Down it goes. I don't know what the hell these people over here are doing. Okay. That down there. Let's throw this back in the cooler. I'm going to use that. Take my line, just stick it behind the seat here. We'll throw that away when I get home today. Get it out of the way for now, though. Clean this off. Okay. I guess they're just out joyriding and idling along. I don't know what the hell they're up to. I waved, at least I didn't have to talk yet. I'm gonna look over this direction, I don't want to keep making eye contact because then that will encourage conversation. That's a little pro tip for you there. If you're like me and you're kind of antisocial when you're in the grocery store, out in public somewhere, just keep your head down. Don't make eye contact with people. I mean, they literally idled down right over here beside us. But now they're idling back. They're just looking at me. One catfish. Okay, that wasn't too bad. They just asked if I'd done any good. Whew. Thankfully they're going the other way. They're probably nice people. They're not doing anything wrong. Hell, they're just idling, like they're not doing anything out of the norm or annoying or anything. But I'm just so antisocial, folks. I think back when I was working a regular job, and again, I was a nurse. I mean, like, I was around people all the time, both coworkers and actual patients. I think it's a thing where if you're antisocial like I am, and very introverted like I am, being around people and conversating, and it's a skill. It's like a muscle. You know, the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I've been out of the working game, like a real job, for so long, and I'm around people so infrequently that being social is hard for me now. Like, I'm fairly good in one-on-one situations. Oh, did you see that right there? Something just come up right in front of us. What the hell was that? I didn't look that way in time to see what it was, but it was a pretty big splash. But for me, I'm pretty good in one-on-ones. Like, if I'm at a boat ramp, somebody comes up, approaches me, I'm fairly good. But if I'm in a situation where, let's say out here I'm on the water, I'm filming, I've never been fully comfortable talking on camera, and then somebody comes up, well, that's a little awkward for me. Or if I'm in a situation where I'm in a group, this is the worst. Like, if I'm in a group and multiple people are trying to talk to me at once, I really struggle with that. Like here's a for instance for you. This happened it was when I went up there to get my bona fide kayak, which I've now got sold. I haven't got it off my carport yet, but my friend Chris Manahan, he's going to buy it. Because I told that story yesterday. It just didn't work out for me in that kayak. I just didn't like it. Fine kayak, just not a fine kayak for me. I'm up there at the shop, Raccoon Creek there. Awesome kayak shop, by the way. Like, I've been to some kayak shops, but theirs is really set up well. They got a ton of accessories. Like, they're really a top-notch operation up there. But there were several people there while they were rigging my kayak, both some of the tournament guys that I knew, some other people that I didn't. And you would be talking to one person, and another person would come up and just interrupt and start talking to me or holler at me across the room. And I'm like, well, do I divert my attention from the person that I'm speaking to engage with the person who was just rude and interrupted us? Do I just ignore the person who's trying to get my attention over here so that I can stay focused on the person that's in front of me? Like, what is the proper social etiquette there? I struggle with that. I don't like being in that situation. I'm fine one-on-one. One-on-one situation, I'm good for the most part. I may not want to be conversating with whoever it is that's conversing with me if I don't find them interesting or if I don't like them or whatever. But I really struggle in group situations where you're going to have multiple people talking to you and at you at the same time. I really struggle with that. Like, it gives me anxiety. I don't like it. I don't like being in those situations. I try to avoid those situations in real life. Like, me and my girlfriend go out. We never go out on double dates. Ever. Me and her go bowling. It's me and her, one-on-one. We don't do double dates because it's, again, if I'm there and now I've got to interact with 3 people, I find it very difficult. You know, we went over recently here to my girlfriend's Christmas family dinner or breakfast. Half of her mom's side of the family has a Christmas breakfast. And of course, you know, I'm part of the family, kinda, I guess. And so I go to this, and of course, I'm uncomfortable right from the start. Not because of anything they've done. Like, her family has been open arms, welcoming to me. Like, they're great people. They're all of them, even the extended family. I mean, they've all very, very kind to me. But still, I don't really know any of them. You know what I mean? Like these people that are coming in from out of state and whatnot, I don't know them. And so it's difficult for me to, not because of anything they're doing, because again, they're all very nice, but I just struggle in these situations. And I think back to how I was as a nurse. Like, I remember going into work and some days I just wouldn't be feeling it as far as dealing with people, but you know, you do the job because you got to do the job, but I was better at it back then. And I think it's like riding the bike, a muscle. You don't use it, you lose it. And I just don't ever use it anymore. Rare situations, once or twice a month, I'm going to find myself somewhere where I have to talk to multiple people at once, and I'm just going to struggle through it. It's not like a situation 5 years ago when I'm still working as a nurse and I'm dealing in that situation every day. I remember back too, like, you know, I worked ER. So, I mean, it was a physically taxing job, just 12-hour shifts on your feet most of the time, busy nights and stuff. You're walking a lot of miles all throughout your shift. And sometimes stressful situations there, life or death situations, it adds to it certainly. But there were a lot of days I would clock out and leave. And I would be exhausted, but not so much physically exhausted as I was just mentally exhausted. And it wasn't from like the job itself, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, as a nurse, you got to think, and you got to think quickly oftentimes. But it was just from social interactions, dealing with either maybe it's working with coworkers that you just didn't jive with and you're forced. One of the things that I struggle with the most, and maybe a lot of you all out there can relate to this, I don't know. But for me, conversations that are forced, you know, if I find somebody interesting, I can listen to them talk for forever. I can't tell you how many TED Talks. I don't know if they still do TED Talks or not, but you can get on YouTube. Obviously, after this video is over, don't click off of this to go look for it. But you type in the search box on YouTube, TED Talks, and you'll find these, I guess they were like conferences, and they may still be going on. I don't know. I haven't watched one in a long time, but I've watched a lot of them through the years. But they are conferences where they'll bring in these speakers, and they'll be experts in whatever it is that their field of study, whatever it is they're passionate about, and they'll give a talk, a presentation, if you will. I've listened to a lot of those TED Talks from people who I have no interest whatsoever in whatever it is the subject that they're on. But because the speaker, his or herself, is interesting as a person, I will listen to the whole damn TED Talk, even though I don't give a damn about what it is they're talking about. The person, the individual, is interesting to me. And so when I find myself in a situation, a conversation with someone, and I find them genuinely interesting, I can converse with them and talk with them for a long time. And I don't feel that anxiety or discomfort or whatever you want to call it while I'm in that situation with them. But if I'm talking to somebody that I have to force myself, I guess, to converse with, like just, one of the things I hate most is just chit chat. Here we got a fish. Oh, he let go. That was on our light action rod. I really thought we'd catch more fish by now on that thing with them live shad. Something tugged on one. I don't think that would have been a shad pulling that over like that. I wonder if he got him. Let's reel it up. These other shad here in the bucket are still alive, so we'll replace them. replace the, yeah, he got the bottom one. Let's just go ahead and put 2 fresh ones on there right quick. This one up here may be dead. Yeah, he's dead. Okay, that's fine. We've got others. Let's grab that one right there. You are the next contestant on The Price is Right, Mr. Shad. I'm going to actually run this one, I think. I think I'm going to run this one through the back, maybe. And this one, we shall do the same thing. Yeah, folks, no need to buy minnows this time of year when you got threadfin shad literally everywhere in these creeks. You can make a throw and get a net full. And, you know, we can keep a couple dozen in a bucket without aeration. We can keep them alive in there for an hour or so. Maybe a little, obviously longer today. Okay, let's send them down. Get them down there. I'm surprised we ain't got some fish on this. Yesterday, most of our fish actually came on the lighter rod. Now, I was using cut bait on there yesterday. I took small pieces of gizzard shad and put on the hook. So it was cut bait, not live baits, but still, they're small shad. I would have expected them to be getting eaten. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, like if a person's interesting, I can listen to them for a long period of time, talk about anything. But the thing I can't stand is chit-chat. Like, hey, how's the weather? Or boy, sure has been cold lately. Or the worst is when you're out here on the water and it's like, how's the bite going? Catching anything today? I just don't like chit-chat. That's my problem. I don't like chit-chat. And oftentimes people that just want to chit-chat with no substance to the conversation, they're not very interesting people. And I struggle, and sometimes I wear my struggle on my face, and I think they realize, and I'm not trying to be rude. I don't want to be rude to anybody unless they're rude to me. If they're rude to me, that's one thing, but I don't want to just be rude to somebody just randomly comes up and talks to me or out of the water talks to me or whatever, but I just have a hard time with chit-chat. And so if I'm in a situation like back when I was working, and maybe I was working with coworkers who are just dull personalities or just didn't jive with them, or you get some patient's family member that's just, they're just overbearing and just, you're having to interact with them way too much. I would leave. I would leave work and just be mentally just drained, just exhausted. And it had nothing to do with how much I had walked that night or what I'd had to do, nothing like that. Just be mentally drained. And I guess it just goes back to me being kind of an introverted person. I don't think it's like that with somebody who is very social and outgoing. I think it's the opposite. I think they kind of get fueled off of that. Like my friend Eric, pro moderator, he's a very social, outgoing person. He likes, he'll do all kinds of group stuff and parties and, you know, dinner parties and get-togethers and all that, and he feeds off that, man. He thrives off them situations. And if I did all the social stuff that he does, like I would need to just go home and curl up in the fetal position for 4 hours when I'd get back to just recuperate from it. I'm just not cut out for it. I don't know why. I've always been like that, though. Even as a kid, like I played with toys hell, I'm playing with toys now as an adult. I've told some of y'all about my wrestling figures and G.I. Joes that I've reliving my second childhood with here. But, you know, as a kid, I would just prefer to be by myself and play with toys versus having to be social situations and whatnot. Now, I played sports and stuff, but, you know, team environment, but that's different. That's a different situation. You've got a shared activity, you know. It's not like nowadays, this time of year, for instance, with the holiday season, you've had Christmas parties, and this video, I think, is going to be posted on New Year's Eve. So a lot of you today, well, if you're watching this, you probably ain't out at no New Year's Eve party, but a lot of people will be. There's a lot of people tonight that's going to be out there at Dick Clark's rocking New Year's Eve. And it's just people mingling with people. Yeah. It ain't for me, folks. It ain't for me. I like one-on-one. I like one-on-one situations. No groups, no large crowds. You know, here's a large crowd situation that I enjoyed, was going to Tennessee football games at Neyland Stadium. Now, I quit going a few years ago because the product on the field was so bad, I couldn't justify spending the money on the tickets, the money on the parking, the $10 bottles of water, you know, spending an entire day around the game, because that's what you have to do with traffic and all to get to and from the game and all that. So I'd quit going, but I used to love going to the games. But now that the team's better, although they sure didn't look it against Ohio State, but you know, we're definitely improved over where we were just a few years ago. We're a better team. We've got more hope now. Maybe false hope, but at least we had some this year. I haven't been to a game in years, because I'm at that age, man. I'd rather just watch the game, even though I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going, and Neyland Stadium's an amazing experience. I would rather now just sit on the couch. If I need something to drink, the fridge is a few steps away. If I need to go pee, the bathroom's a few steps away, or if it's after dark, I can go out on my patio and pee off the back porch there. Can't do that during the daytime now because neighbors got peeping Tom eyes over there. So, but you know, socially, I'm just awkward. There's something wrong with me. I can sit here and talk to you on this camera all day long, and this video is going to post, and it's going to get, if it's like my other videos lately, 50 to 100,000 views. That's potentially 50,000 to 100,000 people I'm having a conversation with right now. And I'm fine with that because I'm talking to a camera. But if I had 3 or 4 of yous actually in real life out here with me, socially, I would be struggling right now. If it was any one of yous, I'd probably be fine. But if you put me in the group, I'm going to have a hard time with it. So, needless to say, you're never going to see me up there at Dick Clark's rockin' New Year's Eve celebration going on, which is happening. Well, it's not actually happening tonight, but this video is coming out on New Year's Eve. I'm pretty sure it's the way the calendar fell for me to post this. So, New Year's Eve, if you're spending this with me, thanks, instead of Dick Clark. I think Dick Clark's dead. I think Dick Clark died. Do they still call it Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve? Maybe it's Dick Clark Memorial. That'd be sad, though. They've probably changed it. Well, but used to, when I was a kid growing up, Dick Clark, he was the man on New Year's Eve. Like, you watch whatever channel he was on, each channel, 6, 8, and 10, NBC, ABC, CBS, they all got their own ball drop. But Dick Clark was the one you watched. Dick Clark was the man. Tonight, well, I mean, New Year's Eve night, well, tonight too, but New Year's Eve night for sure. When the ball drops at midnight, I'm not going to know. So I'm going to be looking at my eyelids. I'll be sound asleep. I ain't been awake for the New Year's Eve ball drop in, well, it would have been whenever I worked last and done night shift on the New Year's Eve. That would have been the last one I saw, because I'm asleep now at midnight. This time of year, in the winter months, I do stay up later than normal. Normally, spring, summer months, when I'm fishing the morning hours, I'm in bed by 10. I guess because I'm getting up so early. Now, this time of year, when I switch more toward afternoon trips, I don't have to be up so early. I sleep in a little later, and, well, I try to. Sometimes I still wake up early. Most days I wake up early, regardless. But I don't have to be up early, so even if I wake up, I'll just lay there in bed and mindlessly scroll on my phone. But I tend to stay up a little later this time of year. But I still ain't going to be staying up to no midnight to watch the ball drop going from 2024 to 2025 like it matters. Every single day is a day to start over. Every day. You don't have to wait till January. Everybody starts these New Year's resolutions. Like, oh, I'm gonna set a New Year's resolution this year. I'm gonna pick whichever bad habit they have and they're gonna change it. Why the hell are you putting it? If you really want to change something, you change it then, today. You don't wait. You change it today. When you're setting some arbitrary date out there, anytime I ever hear a New Year's resolution, everybody says, well, on January 1st, I'm no longer doing blah, 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 or I'm going to start doing blah, blah, blah. I call BS on it every time. Because if it was something you really wanted, if you was really passionate about, you wouldn't wait to get started. You'd get started today. So whatever they start, New Year's resolution, sure, it might last a week. It might last a month if they're really dedicated. Everybody reverts back, man. The people who really make a resolution to change something, very rarely is that going to start on January 1st. It's going to start whenever they just hit that moment in their life where they're like, I got to make a change. Or I'm doing this. I'm going for it. They set a goal for themselves and like, I'm going to go get this. That could be any day of the week. You know, like, and this time of year, the gym memberships, my God, you know how many gym memberships they probably sell the last week of December and the first week or two of January? I bet these gyms make their bread for the whole year in the first, probably in a 4-week period, the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January. They probably make their nut for the whole year with them gym memberships. And them gyms, man, probably be crowded as hell for all of January, maybe part of February. By March, April, it's back to the same people in there. Like, it's just, you know, because you're doing something you think you need to do, but it's not something that you want to do. And you may actually need to do it. But if you're not wanting to do it, it's going to be hard to make yourself do it. There's too many excuses. Every single one of us out there, all you all out there right now in internet land listening to this, you've got a life. You've got crap going on. You've got a job. You've got school. You got family commitments. Maybe you got health problems. You got something going on in your life that is time consuming, both physically time consuming and mentally time consuming. So if there's something that maybe you need to do, but you don't have to do, or you don't want to do, your mind is going to make up excuses as to why you can't do it. And maybe you're super motivated there, New Year's resolution, I'm doing it, and you go to the gym, and then all of a sudden you just got to miss a day. Then you miss another day, and you get out of the routine that you never really had to begin with. Next thing you know, you ain't been in a month. And then people get down and out and depressed about it because they've set a goal and they failed. But really, they failed themselves when they set the goal to begin with because they had no realistic shot of completing it. Now, I think, and listen, I've talked about this in some other videos, and I don't know that it's my most popular segment of videos, but I hammer this home because it can change your life if you let it. But I don't go to a gym. You know, I'm not Mr. Universe, Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilder. I'm not running no damn marathons. But I'm in pretty damn good shape. And I keep myself in shape with basic core strength, body weight exercises. And I wasn't always like this. Hell, there was a time just a few years ago that I was just piss poor shape. I didn't do anything. I'd make the same excuses that a lot of y'all do. Well, I'm tired. I got stuff to do today. You know, this, that, and the other. But I kept having sciatic issues. I got piriformis syndrome years ago, and after that, I just kept having, every few months, I'd have a bout of sciatica. Might last a week, might last 2 weeks. And the last time I had it, I ended up going to a chiropractor. And the chiropractor, I think chiropractors are quacks, but this guy wasn't. At least not on that topic. But, you know, we got me feeling better and whatnot. We were doing spinal decompression and doing the adjustments and stuff. And, you know, we got to a point, and I was feeling good again and whatnot. And we did more follow-up x-ray. And he's like, man, I could sit here and lie to you and tell you I need you to keep coming back X amount of days a week for forever, but like, you don't need this anymore. What you need to do, and he, give me some exercise to do, is like, we got to work on your core strength. We've got your spine back in a line, but if you don't work on your posture and your core strength, you're going to be right back in this situation again in a few months. So I hate, if you've ever had sciatic pain, it's awful. And I was going through it all the damn time, it seemed like. I mean, just every few months I was having a bout of it. And so I took his core strength exercises and I added to it, and I just kind of come up with my own little workout. And again, I'm not no damn bodybuilder. I'm not winning no Mr. America Universe whatever contest, but I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to run marathons. I just want to be fit. I want to be in good shape. I want to be able to function in life and not have sciatica. I want to be able to roll out of bed. Because one of the things, when I was in bad shape, I'd wake up in the mornings, my back would hurt. Like, I'd be stiff, I'd be tight. I'd wake up, my low back would be hurting. And then I'd get up and walk to the bathroom, and hell, my ankles would pop, my knees would pop. I'd sound like a damn Rice Krispie treat, just snap, crackle, pop all the way to the bathroom. Man, I'm gonna tell you, since I got in good shape, I mean, it wasn't overnight, but as I've gotten better and better physical condition, I don't know when it really happened. It wasn't like a light switch moment, but now when I wake up, my back doesn't hurt. I'm not tight anymore. I'm not stiff when I wake up. I get up, walk to the bathroom, nothing's popping. Like, I feel good. I feel better now than I have felt in years. And I do a very simple, basic workout, man. I do jumping jacks, I do push-ups, I do crunches, I do squats, and I do a series of stretches. All of that can be done in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to buy any special workout equipment. You don't need no sweating to the oldies Richard Simmons VHS tape. You don't need an elliptical, no Peloton. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need a small area in your house where you can do some jumping jacks, push-ups, squats and crunches, and some stretches. And I do it every day. I don't fish. Hold on, fish. Back rod, the chunk. That's 2 fish now on the cut up, the cut bait. This one here ain't gonna be as big as the last one, I'll tell you that. He's not gonna be measuring up. Where are we at on time on this? Okay, so 2 fish in just under 2 hours. So we're about on pace for what I'd expect here on Loudon, about fish an hour. This one here ain't gonna be, yeah, small dink. But hey, it's a bite, man. It's a bite, buddy. Come over here, Blue Kitty. We're happy to have you. Come on down. What do you watch, fish? Do you do Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, or you doing one of the other channels that nobody watches? I don't know if people even go to that crap anymore or not. Where the hell would you go to the bathroom at? If you're out there rocking New Year's Eve, you know all them people are drinking. They're gonna have to go to the bathroom, but there's no bathrooms out there in the street. I don't think there is. I get maybe they got porta potties or something. I don't know. But still, you won't ever see me going to one of them things. Let's cut up another shad. And I'm gonna bore you to death here with exercise story. That was a chunk, so let's do another chunk. Well, 2 fish, both have eaten the body section, or both have eaten the cut bait, not the whole bait or the small live baits. Interesting. Both have hit in the back rods too, which could be a positioning thing. Maybe, possibly that's what they're coming to first, potentially. We'll never know. Had to gizzard shad poop all over my hand. Couldn't get it washed off. Gizzard shad are the poopinest fish. Like, you cut one of them things open, it's nothing but poop. You tell somebody they're full of crap. If you tell a gizzard shad that, like, it's legit. Like, they really are. All right, I'm gonna put that head back in the fridge here, back in the cooler. I got my big cooler back in this kayak. I've been rebuilding it and getting everything back on here. The live scope's gone. I got the graph partially mounted. I got to run the wiring inside the hull still, but I've got my orange Yeti cooler here that the Loys got me last year. I've got it put back in here now. So getting this thing pieced back together. I had taken it apart basically to switch everything over to the Bonafide, and then I'm surprised I get the Bonafide on the water and don't like it. So now we're moving everything back. But what I was saying that none of y'all care about is, if you want to get in shape, and I'm not talking running marathons here, I'm not talking bodybuilding competitions, but if you want to get physically fit in shape and feel better, you don't need all this fancy gym equipment, gym memberships, sweating to the oldies, Thigh Master, whatever the hell the gimmick of the week is. You don't need any of that stuff. Body weight exercises, and do it consistently, and stretch. Consistency is key. I take no off days. I work out every single day. Now, it's not a long workout, but it doesn't have to be. But I don't miss. And I don't have a reason to miss. Now, there has been days where I have. I'll give you an example recently. Well, it's been a couple months now, but when I fished the South Carolina tournament, I got up like 4:30 that morning, fished the tournament. I had dinner with some of the guys in the tournament afterwards, and then I drove home. So I'd got up 4:30 in the morning. I had been gone all day. I didn't get home until after midnight. I did not work out that day. But you know what I did the next day? I got up that next morning and I did my workout. And then I did another one that afternoon. So even though I'd missed a day, it was averages a workout a day. And, you know, again, I'm not a physical trainer, okay? So, you know, take my advice with a grain of salt, if you will, but we're not trying to build. It's not like we're bodybuilders. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to grow these huge muscles, right? In that situation, you're going to go lift real heavy. You're going to, you know, push yourself to exhaustion. You're going to, you know, tear that muscle, and then you're going to need to take a break, right? You're going to need to rest, get plenty of protein, let your body repair that muscle and make it bigger. We're not trying to do that, so there's no reason for us to have off days. We're looking more for functional strength here. Farmer strength is what I call it. You take a look. There ain't many farmers left in today's world, but back in the old days when you had farmers, they worked every damn day. There's always work to be done on the farm. There's always chores to be done. And them guys are strong as an ox. They're not lifting weights. They're not pumping iron, but they're strong as an ox, man, because they're doing physical work every single day. And over time, the strength builds on strength, builds on strength. And so I tell people, man, I'm a big advocate for this. If you will keep things simple, pick you out, you know, I'm a big fan of jumping jacks because they work everything. From your ankles, your calves, your hip flexors, you're moving your arms, you're getting range of motion movements, your shoulder, everything. And you're getting cardio in. Like, it's a good exercise. Push-ups work. They work your core. They work your chest, your biceps, triceps, shoulders. Like, you're getting a lot from that. You know, you just keep it simple. You don't have to do a long period of time. And you may be in really bad shape, and that's okay. Do what you can. If you can do 5 push-ups and 10 squats, do it. But do it every day. And over the course of time, you keep showing up. You may not notice a huge difference week 1. Hell, you may be really sore week 1 if you're not used to moving and doing these exercises and stuff. You may be sore. Push through it, because give it 2 weeks, give it a month, give it 3 months. You're going to see huge differences. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be doing way more push-ups, squats, jump jacks. You're going to be doing way more a month from now than what you're able to do today. You're going to feel better. You're going to, and it won't, and again, it's not going to happen overnight. I can't pinpoint exactly when it happened for me, but there was a point in time when I was in really piss poor shape, or like I said, I'd wake up in the mornings and my back would hurt. I'd be tight, I'd be stiff. My knees, my ankles, everything would be popping as I walked to the bathroom. That doesn't happen anymore. I feel great. And so, you know, even though I'm not going to win no damn bodybuilding competition, I'm physically fit, which I think for 99.9% of the people in the world, most of you out there, I would assume, listening to this, you want to be physically fit. You want to be healthy. You want to be in good shape, right? You can do that from the comfort of your own home. And if you do these body weight exercises and stretches from the comfort of your own home, you take away all of your excuses not to do it. You know, you don't have to, you can't be like, oh, well, work ran late today and I got soccer practice with the kids tonight, so time I get done with that, the gym's closed. I can't go today. Nope, because you can do this workout in your bedroom. Bedroom's always open. 24 hours a day. And I don't care how busy you are. We all got 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. How much time you spend scrolling through your phone? Hell, you could be doing these exercises right now while you're watching or listening to me. There's going to always be exceptions, right? I'll give the example of myself here. A couple months ago, I missed that day because of the tournament. and long hours driving and stuff. Sure, situations extreme like that, maybe you miss a day. But most days, I don't care if it's 15 minutes before bed, maybe you get up 10 minutes early. Personally, I prefer working out more in the afternoons. I just feel like I feel like I'm looser, I get better stretches. That's just my personal preference, to each their own. But the point is, we all have 10 or 15 minutes a day. You don't need no fancy equipment. It doesn't cost any money. Put you a towel down on the floor or a yoga mat or something and have at it. You traveling, you're on the road for work, you in a hotel, guess what? You can still do this stuff. It's just, and it'll change your life. It's not going to change your life day one. A few push-ups, squats, crunches, jumping jacks, it's not going to change your life day one. It's not going to change it 2 weeks in. But give it 30 days, give it 90 days, give it a year. You won't believe the progress you will make and how much better you're going to feel. And it's something so simple. And another thing I tell you to do, and I went on another long sermon on this, and I know I done lost half the damn audience, but it's that time of year, folks. It's a good time to talk about it, I guess, because everybody's doing these stupid New Year's resolutions, and all these people out here is coming up with a workout plan that they can't follow. And it's almost criminal, really. It is. It should be. I'm gonna rant on some of these exercise companies. They prey on people's insecurities. I mean, how many things have we seen? There was Suzanne Summers' Thigh Master, Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies, Jazzercise. Gosh, a few years ago there was P90X thing, whatever. They had them DVDs. You know how many people do P90X more than 3 months, 6 months? Nobody. Not one damn person's going to do it longer than that. Nobody. Because it's just unrealistic to do that crap. You know, I mean, the longer the workout is, the more equipment is required. It's just unrealistic to expect people. Sure, you might can do it in short spurts. Maybe you're motivated for a little while, but when life happens, it's easy to get away from it. I think it's more important, and this, again, I'm not a personal trainer, but I think it's more important to just have consistency. You're better off doing less, but doing it all the time than doing something, than going really hard for a month or two and then quitting. You're going to be in far better shape over the course of time if you just show up every day and do something versus going hard for a couple months and then taking 10 months off until the next New Year's resolution. I met a woman one time. She was 90, I don't remember her exact age. She was in her 90s. She was in the ER. She'd tripped over a cat and fell. And her family was they just couldn't wait to tell us all how in shape she was. This woman, every day, she had started in her 40s, she said. But every day she had her own workout plan. And it was body weight exercises, ironically. It was push-ups and squats and crunches, and she went on a few things. But she did her age every day. So she said when she was in her 40s, she's 45 years old, she'd do 45 push-ups, 45 squats, so forth and so on. She hit 50, she went to 50. And now she was 90-something years old and would still, she said it would take longer. You know, she wasn't doing it all at one time of the day, but she every single day would do that. And she was in great shape most of the time. If you get somebody 90 years old in the ER, it's like a damn crypt keeper, you know, Tales from the Crypt type thing. This woman looked really good for her age, man. She was, you know, it had worked out for her. Maybe there was some genetics and other things involved, but like she was in good shape for her age. And just minimal body weight exercises. And so I hope some of you out there, if you're struggling with your weight, if you're not in as good a shape as you used to be, if you feel bad when you wake up in the mornings, I hope you'll be motivated to at least do some stretches, do some body weight exercises, and don't beat yourself up too bad if you're not very good at it or can't do very many. Again, who cares? If you can do 5 push-ups, start where you are, because that's not where you're going to be 2 months from now if you do it every day. If you're starting at 5, you're going to be 25 or 30 here in a month, 2 months. You know, like it's going to build. You're going to get so stronger. You're going to get more fit. You're going to tone down. And then if you throw in other things too, like shaping up your diet a little bit. You know, me, I do this stuff, but I was still eating like crap for a little while, drinking them Pepsis every day. I've cut way back. Now, I'll admit, down there in Florida, when I was on vacation, folks, I had me a Pepsi or a Coke about every day. Vacationing, you know, excuse. I still got my workout in every day, but I partaked in some Pepsi and Coke. 41 grams of sugar per serving, per can. I ain't had one of those since I've been back home. But if you will cut that stuff back, your processed foods and sugars, in addition to you'd be surprised how much weight you'll drop. I lost 18 pounds. You know, I had let my weight when I was in bad shape. Like I was creeping up there a little bit. I was like 198 there at my fattest, I think. And now I'm down, like I weighed myself the other day, I was 180. And, you know, but I've cut, I'm still going to have a Pepsi. I'm not having them every day anymore. I'm trying to treat them more like a treat. If I'm on vacation, maybe going out to eat somewhere or something like that, I'll have a treat. I'll treat myself with a Pepsi. But treat it like a treat and not something that you're just mindlessly. I mean, there for a while, every time I'd sit down and eat dinner, I'd pop open a can of Pepsi. And every time you do that, hell, it's 41 grams of sugar. Multiply that out by 365 days, plus all the days where maybe you have 2 or 3 cans of Pepsi. That's a lot of extra sugar. That's a lot of extra calories. That's not helping your body. And so if you just cut back a little on this, I'm not saying give it up. I mean, you know, live your life. You got to enjoy something in life. If you like Pepsi like I do, I mean, enjoy it once in a while, but you don't have to do it every day. Just make subtle changes like that. It'll make such a huge difference in your life. And another thing, and I talked about this a few months ago, and this is something that I think is important too, and then I'm going to get off this exercise topic because, again, nobody wants to hear this crap when you're watching a fishing video, but I got to talk about something out here because I can't get these fish to bite but about once every hour. So we got to talk about something. Well, I talked about this. I think it was back in the spring or summer, but I'm going to rehash it now because it fits in with this topic. One of the things that I'm a big advocate for, and I know I sound like a hypocrite right now because I'm sitting out here in a kayak with a motor on the front of it, but I'm a big advocate for getting either a paddle or a pedal, preferably a pedal kayak. Because if you will treat that pedal kayak like a workout, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're wanting to get in better cardio shape, and maybe you're thinking about getting a gym membership, and you're going to go ride the elliptical or the treadmill or some exercise bike, and you're going to do it 3-4 days a week. In order to go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, you got to carve out part of your day, right? Before work, after work, days off. Like you got to drive from your house or from your work to the gym, do your workout, drive home. How long does your workout take at the gym? How much time are you going to spend on the elliptical, the bike, whatever? 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. Here's my pitch. Instead of going to the gym and riding the bike or the elliptical, go to the lake. Put your pedal kayak, put it in the water, take off. Throw you a couple fishing lures out behind you. Get you some crankbaits or some jigs or rattle traps or something you control at faster speeds with. And you get out there and pedal. Now, if you're going to pedal a kayak, and you can paddle too, it don't matter, but, you know, for the sake of this, let's say a pedal kayak. You're going to pedal at 3 miles an hour, 3.5 miles an hour. That's like a good pace, right? Now, you can kick it up in spurts, maybe get up a little bit more, but it's harder to maintain for long periods of time. Imagine jogging, going from jogging to full sprint. You can jog, if you build yourself up, you can jog for long periods of time, right? I help people run ultra marathons jogging, but you're not doing a full-on sprint for very long. Okay. Kind of the same thing with a pedal kayak. Like you can pedal, you can jog, if you will, pedal 3 miles an hour, but to get up to 4 miles an hour pedaling, you got to hoof it, which means you're sprinting. So you can do it in short bursts, but you're not doing it for long periods of time. Well, guess what? That jogging, pedaling motion you're doing in a pedal kayak that's 3 miles an hour, maybe 3.5 miles an hour, if you're pulling a crankbait behind you, or some jigs or rattle trap or something, that's an ideal trolling speed. So maybe instead of going to a gym, which you're going to hate and it's going to become a chore to do, which you're probably going to talk yourself out of in a month or two, get a damn pedal kayak, which for the cost of some of these damn gym memberships, it ain't going to end up running you much more over the course of time, and you're actually going to have something of value. You know, if you end up hating the kayak, you turn around and sell it in a few months, you're getting something back. If you sign up for a gym membership, it's no value. Like you've paid the money, you ain't getting none of it back. But you go to the lake and spend 30 minutes, spend an hour on the water, put your kayak in, start pedaling, throw out your lines behind you, and go for 30 minutes. Go for an hour. Whatever your plan was that you would have went to the gym. Just because you may not have a full day to go fishing, don't mean you can't go fishing. A lot of people only fish if they got a day off work on Saturday or Sunday and they can dedicate a whole day to it. It don't have to be that way, man. You go out, you spend the 30 minutes to an hour you would have spent at the gym on the water pedaling. You're going to get your cardio workout in. You're going to get some range of motion exercises because you got to get your kayak either in or out of your truck or on or off the trailer, whatever your situation is, however you transport that thing. Like you're going to be physically lifting and moving the kayak at some point, right? Like that's extra movement, extra range of motion stuff that you're not going to get otherwise. And if you're doing something fun with it, like going fishing, you're more inclined to continue on with it, to keep doing it, right? If you're watching this channel right now, I mean, I assume you like fishing. I would assume you're clicking on a fishing video because you're interested in fishing. Well, I promise you, man, you go out there in a pedal kayak and you pedal for 30 minutes, an hour a day, and you do that for 3 or 4 days a week, you're going to cover a lot of miles, right? Like, if you can pedal 3 miles an hour and you pedal an hour, that's 3 miles. Maybe you do 1.5 miles out and 1.5 miles back. You cover that much distance. Let's say you do, trying to keep the math simple here. Let's say you do an hour a day, 3 days a week. So that's, we got one after them Shad right there. Has he got it? He does have it. Let's reel this one in on the Shad. And then we're going to do some math here and really run the audience. Anybody I didn't lose when I started talking about exercise, when I start doing math, people's going to be clicking off in droves. Oh my gosh. Smallest one, he got hooked in the eye. This fish right here, he's going to eat him some black-eyed peas because it's New Year's, and he's going to need to take one of them peas and fix his eyeball there because he got hooked in the eye. That is a tiny catfish, folks. Tiny little thing. There he goes. Okay, let's get us some more Shad, and then we're going to do some math. Them two right there will work. Let's hook them. That last one there, we had hooked in the back, so let's do these in the back too. think it'll stay alive a little longer back there versus running up. It's hard to run it, these small shad, it's hard to run it through their upper lip. You got to pretty much get both lips, and then they lose their ability to breathe, I guess, so they die a little quicker. So we'll go through the back. I'm going to have to redo that one because I about ripped it out myself. There we go. All right, let's send that back down. I had high hopes for this rig today, but it's let us down to this point. But yeah, so you got your pedal kayak. And this is a good way if your girlfriend or wife is, if you're having a hard time talking her into letting you spend some money, you sell it to her on getting yourself in shape, not going fishing every day, getting in shape, folks. That's how you got to sell her on the idea of letting you spend the money for that kayak. But let's say you got an hour a day that you can dedicate for 3 days a week. You pedal 3 miles an hour, so you've covered 3 miles every trip. That's 9 miles a week. Do that 50 weeks a year, 52 weeks a year, folks. That's hundreds of miles that you have covered trolling lures behind that kayak. You know how many fish you're going to catch if you troll hundreds of miles over the course of a year? You're going to catch a ton of fish. Now, you may not every day. You go out on an hour time period any day of the week. You know, it's a short period of time. You're going to have some skunk days, right? Probably several skunk days throughout the year. But you cover hundreds of miles over the course of the year. I promise you, you're going to have some days where you catch some fish, you get some big fish, like you're going to catch a lot. And if you already like fishing and you're having fun with it, then you're more likely to keep doing it. At that point, it's not about exercising. It's not about getting a workout in. It's about going fishing for an hour, right? The exercise is just a byproduct. It's just a benefit of it. And so you're going to be more likely to continue to do something that you enjoy than you are getting a gym membership or a P90X DVD set that you're going to be miserable the whole time you're doing it, and you're just doing it because you feel like you have to. Because if you feel like you have to do something, it's human nature. We're going to start making excuses as to why we can't or why we don't want to. So anyway, hopefully that will help some of you out there. If your girlfriend or your wife is giving you fits about spending the money on that new kayak you want, maybe that'll help talk her into it and help your cause a little bit. Say, honey, I promise I'm going to lose 20 pounds if you just let me get that kayak. But you know what? You probably will, is the thing. You probably will. If you get out there and hoof it for 3 hours a week, and I don't care if it's 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week or an hour a day for 2 or 3 days a week. It's something. It's some exercise. It's some cardio. Like, you're going to get in better shape as the year goes on. And, by the way, you're going to have some fun, catch some fish while you're out there. So, I'm a big proponent of that. I think it's, and of course, here I am sitting in a motor. I have a pedal kayak with no pedals right now. I've just got the motor on it, but it's, for a lot of people, it could be life-changing, something so simple like that. And you may end up doing some far better work. Maybe you start out with your body weight exercises in your bedroom, and then you find some other workout or activity that you get into as you get in better shape, and then that takes you to an even better level of fitness. But you just needed something, a little kickstart to get you going, man. It's the little things that can change your life, but it's the consistency that's most important. Showing up every day. Keep doing it. Don't give yourself an out. Just do it every single day, and it adds up. Those tiny things you do add up over the course of time. It makes such a difference. I don't care if it's push-ups and crunches every day or getting out and doing 3 miles in your pedal kayak 3 times a week. It adds up week after week, month after month. And it's no different, just circling back to fishing, because I know y'all tired of hearing about this. Same thing with fishing. We could come out here and fish this spot today, and of course it's paid off with a big fish here for us, right? Let's say it didn't today. Let's say we'd come out here and we put in 3-4 hours to this spot and didn't do no good. You do it time and time and time again. You come out here 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Maybe you got a busy job and family stuff. Maybe you can't fish that often. Maybe you fish 1 or 2 days a month. You put the time in. Over the course of time, it averages out. You're going to get those bites. If you do the right thing for long enough, you will get rewarded for it. It'll pay off in the end. Not every day. You know, you're not going to drop down and do 10 push-ups today and life change. You're going to have, be cut, be muscular. It don't work like that. But do it over the course of time, check back, look at where you are now. Maybe take a picture now. Start doing this stuff, whatever level you're at. And then take another picture in 6 months. Take another picture after that at the year mark. You're going to see a big change. A big change. But you can't judge it day by day. You got to look at the long term. And that's the same thing I do with my fishing. I get frustrated sometimes. Maybe I go through a bad day. Maybe I have hell, since I got home from Florida, before yesterday, I'd been struggling to catch catfish, struggling to catch bait, like I've been in a slump. But when you look at it throughout the whole year, sure, this 2-week period here that I had where I really struggled to catch bait, catfish, anything, you can get kind of down and out when you look at it in the short term. But when I take a step back and I say, okay, yeah, I had a 2-week bad slump there, bad stretch, but I look at my year as a whole, well, you know what? I caught a bunch of big fish. I won some tournaments, and it all balances out. It all averages out in the end. And it's like that with fishing. It's like that with working out and being healthy. It's like that with a lot of things in life. We get so wrapped up as human beings in the minutia, fancy word. We get so wrapped up in that, just the day to day. We focus on these. Every day there's a new problem, right? I mean, you go through your social media, you turn on the news, like every day the sky, Chicken Little, sky's falling. It's so easy to focus on those things, but really in the big picture, life is pretty good for most people. Not everybody. Some people have hard times, but for most people out there, life is pretty good for most of the year. I don't care who you are. We all go through really good times. We all go through really bad times. Those are the extremes. Most of the time, life is pretty right down the middle, a little above, a little below, right? But it's so easy to focus on those extremes, especially the negative extremes, because that's what we're exposed to all the time. And so, anyway, y'all don't give a damn about this, but it's New Year's resolution time. Some of yous out there watching this crap on New Year's Eve, I guarantee you, some of yous had a plan to start something tomorrow. And I'm telling you, don't waste your time with it if you ain't fully into it. You're better off doing something else that you can't say no to, that you don't have an excuse for, that ain't going to cost you money or time or something else that you don't have that you're going to be able to talk yourself out of later on down the road. But I do hope you will change your life somehow. We can all be in better shape. We can all eat better. We can all sleep better. We all have room for improvement. So I hope you'll make some improvements this year. I hope to hear back from some people at some point in time and run into them and be like, Justin, look, I see that oftentimes when I run into somebody. If I meet somebody at a boat ramp or a fishing show, whatever, one of the first things they want to do is they want to pull out their phone and they want to show me pictures of fish they caught, right? Let me show you this big fish I caught on such and such, blah, blah, blah. And that's all well and good. Sometimes they'll say, I watched your videos, I learned how to do this, and then I went out and I caught this. And that's rewarding for me. I certainly enjoy that. But here's what I would enjoy even more. This would make me feel even better, not as a fisherman, but just as a human being. If at some point in time in the future, somebody comes up to me and they say, Justin, I want to show you a picture. And it ain't of a fish, it's of them. This is where I was at. I listened to you go on one of your spills that nobody wanted to hear about damn exercising and stuff. And here's where I'm at today. I took your advice. I went for it. I showed up every day just, doing a 10, 15-minute workout there in your house, doing some stretches. And tell me that it changed. That would be way more meaningful to me than somebody saying they watched my video and learned how to catch fish. And I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of people reach out with those kinds of messages, and I'm certainly glad to help them catch their fish, or that they've learned something from my videos that they've applied to be able to catch that fish, for that moment in time. Catching that fish is very important to them, but their health and well-being is way more important than any fish. And so I would like to make an impact on that in some way or form. That would mean so much more to me. But I've had some messages like that, not so much, not the workout thing, but like changing just me telling a random story, or, I had one message, this has been 2 or 3 years ago, but a guy said like he was like down and out, depressed, like thinking about killing himself, and stumbled across my videos and saw me having fun and just decided to go fishing. And he got into it. And he said it gave him an out. It gave him a way to get his mind off the things that he was going through. And, he credited me with saving his life. And I know that sounds, I don't want to say crazy because that's disrespectful. And, the guy's not crazy. He's just going through some stuff. But I mean, to me, something as trivial as me coming out here going fishing and filming this stuff, it's like, you never know the impact you're having on somebody, as simple as it is. Like that, when I say that's crazy, I don't mean that guy's crazy. I mean, like, it's crazy to me that I can do something so simple, so meaningless to me as coming out here and just spending an afternoon fishing and have a positive impact on somebody's life. I had another one here recently. And it was another one of those situations. I'm like, what do I say to this? Well, a person left a comment on my video and said that his father had passed away that morning, and that he had been playing my video for his father while they were waiting for him to pass. I don't know if it was like a hospice situation or if it just maybe at the hospital and you kind of know the time is near type thing. I don't know the backstory of that, but he said that his father had enjoyed fishing, and they had been watching my videos together, and he wanted his father to. He played that video. I forget, it was a whole paragraph, but like he had played my video there in his father's room, while he was passing there, because his father loved fishing, and they had watched my videos together, and it was just, and it's kind of one of them things where you read that and I'm like, what do I say to that? I'm very flattered, I'm very honored. There's 5 million fishing videos on YouTube. They chose mine to play for his father there. And it kind of just makes you take a step back. It's very humbling to think that, you've had some kind of impact on someone's life, that when they're going through a real life situation, not like, I get out here in these videos and I'll talk and gripe and complain sometimes about whatever trivial things happening in my life at that moment. But a lot of people out there at the same time are going through real stuff, you know, sickness, injuries, pain, maybe they're grieving from the loss of a family member, loved one, whatever, real life stuff. And to think that it might have some kind of impact, a positive impact on those people, it's pretty incredible, really. And, you know, stuff like that, it certainly means a lot to me, as, you know, because I'm a pessimistic person by nature. Just my incline. I blame my mother because she's the same way. It's always when you think of something, you always think of the worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? There's where your mind goes first thing, right? Like, that's me. That's how I am. And my mother's like that. So I blame her because that's where I get it from. I come by it honest, people. But as a pessimistic person, it's easy for me to focus on negative stuff. You know, I can get 100 positive comments in the comment box, but that one negative, just, I'm like, yeah, you know, screw that guy right there. I told the story yesterday, as a matter of fact, of a fella that's been up my ass because I told ironically, I'm trying to get people to work out so that they can possibly lose some weight and get in better shape. But I told a story about the Jelly Roll concert I went to a few months ago now. And I got stuck sitting beside a guy he was so big, he was into my seat. He was that big. And I set this viewer off. He was upset that I had talked about this fat guy in my video. And then he went on this, he messaged me, cussed me out, wished harm on me, talked crap about my girlfriend, reached out to Catfish Sumo, sent them multiple messages, phone calls, emails, etc. Like, dude, off the deep end, man. Like, and so it's easy to focus on people like that, just scum of the earth, people with nothing. They're just so miserable human beings. They try to bring everybody down that's around them, anybody they can. They try to tear them down to, I guess, get them to feel as bad as they do potentially, or maybe take their mind off how just miserable they are. So it's easy to focus on those people, but every once in a while you get one of those people, like I mentioned there, that just, you know, they let you know you've had a positive impact in some way, shape, or form in their life. And it means a lot. And I hope I really do hope the day comes where I run into somebody, I'm at a boat ramp, and they come up and they pull out their phone, and it ain't no fish pic they're showing me. It's a picture of them, and they're like, look what I've done in 6 months, a year, whatever it is. You know, like, Justin, I watched your video, I listened to your spiel, and I got motivated that day, and I started, and I haven't ever stopped. And look at me now. Like, that would be awesome. Like, that would be so cool if that happened. I don't know if it will, probably won't. I'd say most people's done clicked off this crap by now, and I couldn't blame you for doing it. Hell, we ain't catching no damn fish, and nobody wants to hear about no exercise, especially on New Year's Eve, which this video is coming out on if you're watching it day one. But if that day ever come, that would be really cool. So I guess we'll change the subject somehow. I know y'all are sick of hearing about this crap. I'm ready to change the subject to a fish. I knew, coming out here, like I said, if we fish 4 hours, I hope to get 4 fish. It's kind of one fish an hour average. That's what I hope for. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes you come out here and, maybe the bite turns on. You get that feeding window and you got every rod going down for a few minutes. But most of the time out here, it's fish here, fish there. But oftentimes, when I come here on Fort Loudon, even though the numbers aren't there, I'm not going to have a 30 fish day on Fort Loudon. I've had them before, I guess, but it's not. That's the exception, not the rule. Most of the time, I come on Fort Loudon, I'm getting a handful of bites. But there's a good chance I'm going to bust a good fish. And we got one yesterday. We got one today. So, you got to, if you're not expecting if you know you're not going to have a 30 fish day, you can't beat yourself up because you didn't have a 30 fish day. Now, if I go somewhere where there's more likely chance that I'm going to have a good numbers day, and then I strike out or get 1 or 2 fish, well, then you can kind of beat yourself up a little bit. But for me, I'll come out here today knowing that probably going to get just a few fish at best and maybe bust a big one, and we've already done that. So I feel like now, even though I want to catch a fish very badly, I mean, I'm ready to reel one in, especially I'd like to get another big one. I'd like to get a flathead even. But if I leave here today and haven't caught any more fish, I'm still going home satisfied. Like, I'm going to go home happy that we came out here, we picked out this spot, looked at it on the map there, knew exactly how, where, and why we should be setting up here, and we got rewarded for it. And it goes back again, Buck Perry 101, as far as being able to look at a map and put yourself in this kind of position. You know, it's rewarding in that. Like, I feel accomplished in that. Don't always pan out. And, you know, and today, I touched on this a little bit yesterday, like, the way I'm fishing today, this is my favorite way to fish, but just from a numbers perspective, we'd be better off trolling probably, right? Covering water, trying to put our baits in front of some fish. We'd probably get more bites that way, but I wouldn't have as much fun. And I know fishing like this, maybe not every day, but again, over the long run, over the average, I'm going to bust a bunch of big fish doing this. And unfortunately, it did work out today. But I'm hoping we'll catch some more here as the afternoon goes on. Where are we at on time on this? How much longer do I have? Let's see what time it is on the phone here. Yeah, it's 3:15 now. Actual time-wise, anyway. So I got, I don't know, another hour, hour and a half. I got plans tonight. Evening plans. Can't stay out here all the way up till dark, but yesterday I got cold. It was comfortable, and then the wind, it wasn't blowing bad yesterday, but it was blowing just enough. And the sun started to go down. I got cold. I got chilled. I didn't have enough clothes on, I guess. I was like, I've caught my big fish. I've got a few other fish. I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to go to the house. And I was a pretty long run away from the car, so by the time I got back to the car, it was almost sundown at that point. So probably a good decision that I left when I did, because I don't have my light with me in this kayak right now for running after dark. Of course, yesterday there wasn't enough boats on the water. There ain't nobody out here today hardly either, so it wouldn't matter anyhow. Of course, I got a shorter run today to get back anyway. I think I'm going to try to fish tomorrow, though, because the weather is supposed to be about the same as today, a little bit warmer, actually. And so I kind of want to come hit another spot like this. Probably won't fish this spot again tomorrow unless the bite just really turns on here before I leave. But, you know, hit another type of spot similar to this. Like yesterday, we busted that big fish at the creek mouth. I think we was fishing, 42 feet, 43 feet deep yesterday. So today I wanted to come out and I wanted to pick another creek mouth that was comparable depth, and here we are, the bottom of this drop here, 40 feet deep, and we bust another big fish. So I'd like to maybe hit another spot that's comparable depth and comparable situation where you've got a shallow water feeding zone, a deep water retreat, and a path in between, and put ourselves in that path. But kind of like yesterday, you know, we busted that big fish yesterday, but we didn't get much else to go with it, so I didn't really want to go hit that spot again. And today we busted a big fish, but we ain't really got much else to go with it, so I don't know that I want to necessarily come back here. But that don't mean necessarily that the bite won't be better tomorrow. Hell, it could be. It could be turned on here tomorrow. Every day's different, but I'll probably maybe try somewhere else different tomorrow unless something really changes here in the next hour or two. I also want to get, let me show you this right quick before I tell you that. Look right here on the graph. That's a fish right there. Come up there. He looked at one of our baits. I don't know if you can see or not. That faint line right there is one of our baits being picked up on the screen. And that fish, he come up off the bottom, looked at that thing, and then he went back down. That's what he looks like on the 2D right there. The live scope I've taken off. Still got it. I'm not going to sell it, but I'm going to rig it up on a portable mount and just use it when I want to versus having it here all the time. It just gets in the way. I'm going to just go back to a basic, simple graph. I like that old 5-inch Ray Marine right there. I've had it forever. It's cheap, $200. It works. It doesn't take up much space. It doesn't use much battery. It's ideal for me. I just got to run the wires back inside the hull here. That's upcoming project. I've got this thing jimmy rigged back together to get me back on the water for now. But what I want to do, and I may do this tomorrow or I may come back out in this kayak, I don't know. I want to get the links back out because I want to bust them. A fish like we caught today or the one yesterday, especially the one today. The one yesterday, that big fish yesterday, he didn't fight very good. Like he was, the fish yesterday fought under its weight class. The one today was awesome. Like he fought way above his weight class. I want to have that experience in my Hobie Lynx. And the Hobie Lynx, I fished it down there in the ocean. It's essentially a paddle board is what it is, with a seat and a pedal drive. It's amazing. I love that kayak. I want to experience that big catfish in that Hobie Lynx. But I've got to figure out a way to be able to anchor it. I've got to figure out a way to mount the rod holders to it. Or I've got to figure out a way to change up what I do to give myself better odds of hooking a big fish in such a way that's not going to damage the kayak. And so I'm motivated. I'm very motivated to do it. But it's just going to take some time. It's going to take me trial and error. And coming out today, I really needed some content to kind of keep myself on schedule. When I got home from Florida there, I lost some time because of the weather being so bad. It was real nasty when I got back home. It was real cold. It was windy. We had some rain. Like I just kept getting knocked out of days of going. And then when I was able to go, I struggled. I was in a slump. I wasn't doing any good. And so I got myself ahead on videos when I went to Florida and very quickly got myself behind again. And I don't want to disrupt the schedule if I can help it. So thought coming out today, fishing a spot like this with 4 rods. I can spot lock, of course, with this and just go ahead and try to do that, try to get myself back ahead a little bit. But I'm going to be spending some time in the links for sure. And I'm going to figure out a way to make it work with that kayak, whether it's fishing how I currently do in that setup or mixing up what I do, fishing a different way. But I'm going to figure it out, man, because I like it. I like it a lot. It's just very fun. It's I can't explain it. It's different. It feels different. Like the kayak, the way it sets, but I guess because it's like a paddleboard type hull, it just feels different. And it's enjoyable. I really like it. The going down there to the ocean was the most fun I've had in a long time. I have fun fishing all the time, but I had a blast down there. Like I really had a good time. And I think I'm going to go back. I've got an opportunity to go down to the Crystal River with Brandon Hunter, their Fins and Talents YouTube channel. His folks have got that house down there. near the Crystal River in January. Now, I don't know what the shark fishing is like in the Crystal. Supposedly there's a lot of sharks in there spring through fall, but I can't find anything about catching sharks in there in the winter. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I got an opportunity to go back down there. So what I thought I might do is look at the weather forecast. And if the wind forecast is looking good, I may go down a few days early before Brandon gets down there and go further south down in Florida. Maybe either go back down to the Keys or maybe fish the Everglades out there somewhere, South Florida. Then come back up, fish with him. If fishing's good there, well, I'll stay a few more days and continue fishing with him. If it's not good there, if we're not catching anything, turn around, because I'll be down there in Florida anyway, make a short drive back down to South Florida, get back in the ocean and have some more fun, and then come back home afterwards. But I think I'm weather permitting, I'm gonna kick back and relax. Here's what I'm gonna do now, but put my feet up again. But weather permitting, I think I'm gonna go back down in January and try to get on some more sharks. I really want to. I mean, if I had a preference in it, I would find a way to catch sharks that are 8 foot or less, 6 foot or less. I don't want the dinks. I don't want the little babies. But those, you take a black tip shark, for instance, that's 3 to 5 foot long. Those are so much fun. They're a blast. That's probably my favorite saltwater fish to hook into because they jump so high, they're so fast, like it's a good time. But I've done some, I won't say research, I've got some more supplies since I've been home. And I'd had some people comment when I was down there in the Keys to give me some advice and things on my rigs to hopefully it's not going to help me hook more sharks, but help me stay hooked up with more sharks because I've had trouble. I mean, I'm probably, for every shark I hook, I'm probably 50%, maybe less than 50% actually getting them to me. Like, it's a very low percentage. I'm trying to do better at that. And so I've got some new gear that I'm going to be trying. Rods and reels will be the same. But leaders, I'm going to try some mono. I had 2 people comment about using, one person told me to use straight mono leaders for the sharks, no wire, straight mono, 400-pound mono. Another person said I should be using 400-pound mono as a shock leader down to wire. I did some research and come across some old forum posts of people using straight mono. Apparently that's a popular thing to do down in Texas for black tips and stuff, is do 400-pound mono, just a straight leader of mono, no wire. They claim, especially for kayak purposes, it's easier on your hands because you're not grabbing the wire, grabbing the mono, easier to cut, so it's easier to release the shark safely and timely manner. So I bought some. I bought some 400-pound mono, some crimps. I've bought some more wire. We're going to mix it up a little bit. Well, we got something working here behind us, folks. We're maybe about to catch another fish right now. I thought I felt the kayak moving, but I thought it might be had a little breeze for a second. Something had hit that bait, but he seems to be gone now. Just gave it a little love tap. He's gone. Well, hopefully he'll come back. Or maybe one of his bigger friends will come back. But yeah, I want to get back down there. I want to try some more things. I'm a total newbie, I guess, if you will, at all this. I mean, I've done it enough now. I know some things that work and I know some things that don't work, but I'm not dialed in with a set way of doing things. I'm still figuring out what works for me, I guess would be the best way to put it. And to figure out what's going to work best for me, I got to keep doing it. I got to get more experience, more time on the water. And so I want to get back down there and do that. And I got enough views on my Florida videos from that trip that I can justify going back, because every one of my ocean videos was a home run. Like, they did really well. I don't know if that'll be the case next time I go, but this time was, very good. So from a personal enjoyment perspective, I had a blast. It was an amazing trip. From a business perspective, doing this YouTube crap, I can totally justify going back down again. So it's a win-win. And so I want to get back down there. We'll try the mono. We'll try some other stuff. Not much I can do if I hook into a big shark. If I get one that's over 8 foot long, especially in the Hobie Lynx, which is just, it's so lightweight and glides across the water, there's not much I can do with that. They're just, you're not going to get any leverage on it. They're going to tow you around, and they're not really creating any resistance in the kayak, so they're not tiring out. And I had several people suggest throwing out a drift sock off the back of the kayak while I'm fighting a shark to create more resistance, tire them down quicker, right? And in theory, yes, if you have a drift sock off the back of your kayak and you're being towed by a shark, yes, it will create more resistance and it will tire the fish down quicker, yes. But I think it's a terrible idea. And I'm not going to do it. And here's why. Because inevitably, those sharks are going to change directions on you. Sometimes they're going to come back beside you, under you, around you. They're going to spin you. It would be a disaster if that shark got the line wrapped up in the drift sock somehow. It would not only be a disaster and lose the shark for sure, but like, you're going to be, it could possibly flip you. You could get yourself in a bad situation. The other situation that could possibly arise, and most likely would arise at some point, is if you got that drift sock pulling behind you as you're getting towed along, and you get that thing caught in a crab pot buoy. Because down there in the Keys, man, this time of year, I don't know when the season runs, but like, it's like snow crab or something. I think there's snow crabs and there's some kind of lobster down there that they have. But it's a big industry, and there's pots out everywhere to capture them. That's what they do. These commercial fishermen set these pots. I guess they put meat in there or something, and the crabs, lobster goes in to eat the meat. They can't get out. And so they mark these pots with these ropes and buoys. And anywhere you want to fish is covered in these things. It would be terrible to be getting towed by a shark and get that damn drift sock hung in the buoy or the rope for one of them pots. Again, that could cause you a situation where you're potentially getting flipped somehow, and that happens every time I've been down there. I've gotten either pulled through the crab pots or had my line wrapped around them, or every time, like without fail, like it just, that's going to happen, man. Like that's just, you can't fish around that many damn crab pots without getting pulled through some of them. And I'm not putting off no drift sock behind me, man. I'm just not going to do it. It's a good idea in theory, but in reality, in actual getting out there and doing it, it's a pretty terrible idea, I think. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I'll let one of y'all get out there and try it. For me, I think what I'm going to do is try to stick to areas where I can. Thought I got hit. I thought I felt a rod get hit. Maybe I'm imagining things. But I'm going to try to stick to areas where I can hopefully catch black tips or smaller size sharks, and maybe fish shallower water. That way, if I do hook into something that's 8 or 10 feet, that even though I'm not going to be able to land it, I'm going to have to cut my line or my leader. If it's shallow water, I'll at least get to see it and get close to it and see what it is. When I was down there at Bahia Honda, whatever you want to call it, the channel was so deep down there. Like, I hooked into something, 2 huge fish. I don't know what they were, but they were huge, and they went straight down. And that channel runs 30, 40 feet deep, and there are bridges there. Like, you're not getting them up. Like, they're just going to stay down. There's no leverage you can put on them in the kayak, because when you pull up, you're just pulling the side of your kayak down. And you're just never going to see them. And it's fun. I had a blast down there. When you're hooked up to something that big, like, it's fun. But at the same time, too, it's when you're an hour into it, it's kind of frustrating knowing that you just fought this fish an hour and you have no chance of actually ever seeing it. Like, that's just, it's fun and frustrating at the same time. But if you do it in the shallow, like in years past, last year, for instance, I went down to 7 Mile Bridge, a big tourist area, fishing area, lots of good fishing there. The water through there in some of the areas is real shallow. And so you hook into a big shark there, and I hooked into a few big ones. Even though they're too big to fool with in a kayak, you're shallow enough, you can see them, you can see what they are. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to see what I had. Is it a 10-foot bull shark? Is it a 10-foot hammerhead? I want to just, what kind is it? Oh, that's a kind of fish right there. It's going to eat something, is what he is. On our light tackle rod again. Another dinkity-doo-dah, but hey, it's another bite, and I'm happy to get him. Been a slow day fishing-wise, numbers-wise. Yeah, another small blue. Happy to have him, though. I'm happy to have you, kitty. Some days, warmer months of the year, you get these small fish like this just chewing up your baits, especially if it's a day where you ain't got much bait. These things right here can get real frustrating. But today, where bites are minimal and we got plenty of bait, I'm happy to see this fella, especially since he ate. If he'd opened up, we'd already have that hook out. But especially since he ate the light tackle rod. Or lighter tackle, I guess I should say. There we go. All right, kitty. Say hi and bye to these people. You old blue cat. This rod here I'd gotten for the saltwater trip, actually. It's a Ugly Stick Inshore Select, 7-foot, medium heavy. I got it for trolling them barracuda tubes, which I didn't end up catching any. Well, I caught some barracudas, small ones, on a spoon. but I didn't catch any big barracudas that I was trying to catch with the barracuda tubes. But nevertheless, I needed a spinning rod to do it with, and so I got down there in Florida. I said, you know what, I bet Bass Pro will have a nice big selection of rods, and this one was kind of what I was looking for, and it was the cheapest of the rods that I saw there that kind of would do what I was looking for. I think this was like $59, $69, I don't know. I don't remember, it's somewhere in there, $50, $60, something like that. But I got this rod, and it didn't work out for me to catch the barracuda on it, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with it? And so here we are. We've got unlimited tiny shad this time of year. And I'm like, I'm just going to bring this out here, throw it out on our catfish trips. We'll put some small, either small live shad, which these shad today, they're still, for the most part, still doing pretty good in there. I mean, you can see I got a bunch more on the floor here too. I got a whole net full, but I just put about 2 dozen in there, and they're still mostly doing pretty good here for the most part. No aerator, no nothing. Can't keep them alive long term. They wouldn't be alive in that tomorrow, but for a short period of time, they'll do okay. And bring them out here, stick them on that. And if we get small fish and we've got a lighter tackle rod, we can still enjoy reeling them in. If we get a monster that eats a small bait on that rod, we're in for a damn good time. And we might. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to, a crappie fisherman or somebody else, or, bass fisherman, whatever, that'll tell me a story of they've hooked this monster flathead on some tiny bait. Some bass fisherman throwing a little hair jig in the winter, bust a big flathead, or some crappie fisherman throwing a minnow on 6-pound line, 50-pound flathead or something. Like, they'll eat a small bait. It's just giving them what they want at that particular time. And so I don't think it's a bad idea it's not like we're doing it on every rod. Just have one rod out there dedicated to having some smaller baits. Won't do it most of the year, but right now when these thread fins are just literally everywhere in these creeks, make a quick throw, get you a few, and off we go. Feel like I got hit again on my, I'm feeling ghosts or something here, folks. Ain't nothing there though. Yeah, I got plenty of bait there yesterday. I couldn't believe that. I made one throw. Got all them dang gizzard shad. I throw a 6-foot net. And, I mean, if we were a commercial bait dealer, we would throw a way bigger net. But fishing out of a kayak, I can throw a bigger net, but I find it difficult and a bit tedious to throw a bigger net. 6 foot's kind of an ideal size for me. I can throw it easily. I can throw it a lot without tiring out, and I can catch enough bait in it to make it worthwhile. And so it's a good size for me. This one, this cast net I got here, it's a Academy. I forget, what's their thing called? Magellan, or that's their clothing brand. It's whatever Academy's brand is, that's what that net is. It's the cheapest one I could get up there. 6 foot long with a pound per foot of lead. I didn't, allegedly, that's what the box said anyway. 3/8 inch mesh. The 3/8 inch, I can't get my words out. 3/8 inch third time's a charm there, folks. But the smaller net size will let you get the thread fins. Now, you'll get a bunch of them hung in your net too. You'll have to fling them out because it'll stink up your car or truck. But you'll get them. If you go to a bigger net size, like a 1/2 inch, a lot of them thread fins, even if you throw over them, they're gonna escape. They're gonna get out of because the net's big enough they can swim out. So if I'm trying to get the smaller shad, I like it. Now, if I'm just looking for gizzards or suckers or something like that, and I'm not trying to get those tiny thread fins, and I don't want to fool with them, and I don't want to pick out my net, then I'm going to use the bigger mesh size. But I'm at a point in my life, folks, where I'm tired of buying cast nets. I've bought so many through the years because it's inevitable. You throw a cast net, you're going to eventually throw it over a stump or a brush pile or hang it on something and lose it. You're going to rip it to shreds, or you're going to just get it hung and have to cut it. That's just the way it is. I didn't do it as much when I was using live scope because I was looking at where I was throwing before I would throw. And so I could see if I was about to throw over a bicycle that had been tossed off a bridge or something, I could see it before I threw and not make a mistake. But, we got one back here on this right. My line swam. Has he still got it, or did he let it go? My line was back that way, and it's coming back. I guess he dropped it, I guess. Hell no, he's still on there. For now, anyway. This is on that head. I thought he had dropped it because my line kept coming back this way. He was on there. Nope, now he dropped it. All right. We didn't want that no way. That was one of them small ones. He needs to go over and hit that light tackle rod so he'll be more enjoyable to catch. We got him a 2 live thread fin over here that he could easily eat. All right, got that set back up. But yeah, these damn cast nets, man, I've lost so many, and they're so expensive. I used to buy the good ones, like the Joey Fisher ones, better quality nets. But hell, you spend $100, $150 on a net, get it hung, have to cut it, it sucks. So this one here, it's like $50, I think, $49.99, which is still expensive. And it's lesser quality. You get this thing, I've already got some rips in it and stuff because I've gotten either hung on rocks or stumps or whatever, It's like every time you get snagged on something, you're going to rip that net because it's inferior quality, cheaper quality. But you take something like throwing over these thread fins where you can actually see the school before you throw. You don't have to let it sink down very far. It'll last longer. I'm just tired of spending $100, $150 on a net, knowing damn well I'm just throwing money away. I mean, honestly, if we had a bait dealer around here that was worth a damn, that had live shad, I'd probably just buy them when I wanted them. Because I use shad so infrequently, I could probably buy shad cheaper than what I could buy these cast nets for. When you look at how many I lose. But we got one bait shop around here that sells live shad, but hell, you can't ever count on them to have any big ones. So, and then if they do have big ones, they want $3 or $4 per shad. So I just got me another net. I lost my other one. I lost one in Louisiana And I bought one. I went to a sport goods store there, bought one. Used it for the rest of that trip. And when I got home, I used it. I think the first or second time I used it after I got back home, I lost it. So, got it. Boy, Heron over there's pissed. His squawking carried all the way across the river. I guarantee you there's people over there in them houses across the river right now that's heard every word we've said today. I've inspired one of them to do some push-ups and some crunches today and some stretches. Guarantee it. Just my voice is carried across that water. But yeah, them cast nets, man, they're a necessary tool for catfishing. But it's expensive. Just one of them things, though. That's part of the game. You can use other baits. I mean, you don't have to throw a cast net for shad. You don't have to. But this time of year, wintertime, water temps today, 51.4 looks like, surface temps. You start getting into this time of year, once we get down in the 40s, water temps wise, shad kind of becomes the primary bait for me. And two, since I've been back home from Florida, I couldn't catch a skipjack if my life depended on it. Like, I've really struggled on skipjack. So until I can get back on those, we're going to have to use alternative baits. Shad's pretty easy to get most of the time, especially this time of year. Now, a couple videos ago, I was taking them thread fins and tossing them out, and we was catching yellow bass and largemouth. And, you know, of course, I could take them and use them as bait. But as far as just quick and eat, like if we're going catfishing day and we need bait in a hurry, cast net's the way to go. Don't always work out like that, but usually you can find some shad, especially in the backwaters in the winter. And usually you can find some skipjack in the backwaters in the winter, but I ain't finding them this year, not in the places that I normally get them. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're there and I'm just not getting them, or if they're just not there in good numbers this year, or I don't know. I don't know. I had a really difficult year of skipjack fishing. I did fine last winter and into early spring, but from end of spring, like post-spawn, all the way to now, I have had a hard time catching skipjack consistently. It seems like when I do get on them, I'm on them for a day, and then they're gone. No, I'm just, you know, man needs bait, man needs bait. I'm not going to pay these bait dealer prices, at least not all the time. I wouldn't mind doing it occasionally if you could find a bait dealer that was in stock when you needed them. But most of these bait dealers want at least $4 a piece, and the bait dealers that really take, like a Mark Cooper, a local bait dealer around here, like does a good job of packing his bait and taking care of it. He catches skipjack, makes a post about it, they're gone instantly. And you get some of these other bait dealers in the area, they're either really inconsistent and they never have any when you need them, or you can't trust how they've kept them. You know, they go out and they're too cheap to buy ice in the summertime, and they let them skipjack just sit there in a hot cooler half the day until they put them on ice, or they get one bag of ice in a cheap cooler and it melts and the skipjack's just sitting and soaking in water all day. If you're going to buy bait, you want it to be properly taken care of. So I trust myself to take good care of bait, but I don't necessarily trust other people to do it, and I'm cheap on top of that. So it's better for me most of the time just to catch my own. But skipjack right now, you could throw a stick of dynamite out and I probably couldn't get any. Can you even buy dynamite anymore? I probably shouldn't ask that on a YouTube video. I'll probably get dinged somehow. But, you used to hear that in the fishing world. People would fish with dynamite. They'd throw a stick of dynamite out and it would go bang and fish would float up, and you see it in the cartoons and stuff. But I don't know if people actually, I don't guess you could do that now. But I don't even know if dynamite is still made or not. Never hear about it. I guess it'd have to be made at some point. Miners and whatnot, they probably got to use it. Then people that do the demolition of old buildings and stuff, you see the videos of that, like they've got there's some kind of explosion that brings down them buildings when they're tearing a place down. There's got to be a way. Probably requires some kind of license or something to get it. Not that I ain't looking to buy any or anything, but I'm just curious. I'll tell you what I did buy, though. For Christmas this year, I bought myself, I placed an order. I think I may have told you all this. I placed an order for the Rock and Roll Express action figures, which it's embarrassing to say, but I'm reliving my second childhood, midlife crisis or something. So I've been into these action figures, these wrestlers and G.I. Joes and stuff. So I'd placed an order, a pre-order for those, which is supposed to ship sometime in January. Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, Rock and Roll Express. And then I bought the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. Shoulder pads with the spikes, everything. Those showed up, and they are awesome. Love them. And also, I went to Walmart and I had to get some. I like getting my groceries at Aldi's. But Aldi's, where I live lately, has been very hit or miss on the fruit. And since I've cut back on all the sweets and the Cokes and everything, I do still need, my body wants something sweet after dinner. So I eat some fruit. Grapes or apple or fruit. Well, Aldi, where I get my groceries at, has been real hit or miss lately on the fruit. So I had to go to Walmart the other day to get some fruit. Well, while I was there, I'm going to look through the toy department because I'm into them WWE Superstars figures, and those are Walmart exclusives. And so I don't know why I'm into those, but for some reason I like those figures. They're like a He-Man style body, but the wrestlers, they're awesome. I know I sound stupid saying that as a 42-year-old man, but it is what it is. I'm into it. So anyway, I go back there. At my local Walmart, they've got Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio. I don't care about either one of those. But they just got a new shipment of G.I. Joes in. And they had the G.I. Joe Classified retro version of Cobra Commander. And I was all over that, buddy. So for Christmas this year, I bought myself Rock and Roll Express action figures, still waiting to be delivered, Road Warriors action figures, which have showed up and are awesome, and a Cobra Commander G.I. Joe. What the hell am I going to do with these things? I have no idea. But by gosh, I'm into it. I don't know why this year, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm having a midlife crisis. That's all I can say about it. And my girlfriend is way too supportive about it. She should be talking some sense into me. She should be my voice of reason before I make silly purchases of these things. But she's not. She encourages it. she's bought some for me. She bought me the G.I. Joe barbecue figure, which was the first G.I. Joe I ever got as a kid. She got me the big 6-inch one, the Classified series. She bought me Bam Bam Bigelow of the WWE Superstars figures. And so and God help me, if they ever come out with a G.I. Joe series in the He-Man body style, God help me, I'll buy every one of them. They're supposedly, and sometime in 2025, I've seen this on the interweb multiple times now, so there must be some smoke to the fire, or some fire to the smoke, whatever. But supposedly, they are coming out with a Thundercats line of the He-Man body style. Like the old Thundercats, I think they were 6 or 7 inches tall when I was a kid. But they're supposedly going to have the 5.5-inch He-Man body style Thundercats. And I'm all in on it if it's true. I'm sitting here ready and waiting for them. I don't know why, but I am. I hope it's what I hope, though. So, and again, y'all don't give a damn about this, but here we go talking about it. We need some fish to come along quick. But He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and I had some as a small child. But nowadays, they've got all kinds of it's like Masters of the Universe, but it's WWE wrestlers or Ninja Turtles, and they're part of the Masters of the Universe line. I don't like any of those. Like the wrestlers that are part of the Masters of the Universe series, where it's got like Ultimate Warrior and he's got a sword and a cape, or Goldberg and he's wearing some metal helmet or something. Like I don't care about that, and I don't care. I had Ninja Turtles as a kid. They were one of my favorite toys. G.I. Joes and Ninja Turtles. That's what I played with the most as a kid. As an adult, even though I'm going through my midlife crisis, Ninja Turtles just aren't doing it for me right now. Thankfully. Thank God they're not. Lord knows I don't need any more toys. But the Ninja Turtles that's part of the Masters of the Universe line, like I don't see the appeal. Maybe it's because I'm nostalgic and I'm trying to grasp my own childhood, and those didn't exist as a kid. Like there was no He-Man Ninja Turtles as a kid. But I'm just not into them. And so I'm hoping that when these Thundercats He-Mans come out, I'm hoping they stick with the traditional Thundercats lineup, but just with a He-Man body style. I'm hoping they're not going to try to combine He-Man and Thundercats to make some kind of new line of figures. That's what I fear is going to happen. But these WWE Superstars figures, and it's a different lineup than the Masters of the Universe figures. Same body style, but different lineup. Or they look like the actual wrestlers. And some of them they're cartoonish in a way, but some of them look really good. Like Bam Bam Bigelow figure that my girlfriend got me. Like it looks identical. Looks very good. They have the other wrestling figures. They're like 6-inch figures. They're very detailed. I'm not into those at all. Like I'm just not. Full disclosure, I did buy a couple. I bought NWO Hollywood Hogan, and I bought the Ultimate Warrior, and those set right beside my computer on each side. But those figures I feel like are more for display, whereas the He-Man body style is more for like actually playing with. And I don't know, it's something about that. But the WWE Superstars figures, like I'm into them, man. Every time I go to the store, I'm looking for them. The new line of them right now come out, I think back in November it was, Cactus Jack, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I have found Cactus Jack. I'm still looking for the Hart Foundation. The next wave of them coming out, I believe in February, as this heron flies by. That heron's laughing at me for buying action figures, folks. He's mocking me. He's trying to make me have a complex about it, as I probably should. But the next line of these WWE Superstars, it's going to have Jake the Snake, which I have got to have, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which I also really need, and Eddie Guerrero, who, yeah, I'm kind of indifferent on. The 5-star Frog Splash was cool. The Latino Heat, that was cool, but yeah. I feel like there's a lot of other wrestlers I would have rather seen in this lineup before him. But Jake the Snake and Ricky Steamboat, when they come out, I'm definitely going to be on the lookout. And I'm still on the lookout for the Hart Foundation. Just haven't come across them yet. Most of the stores around here, they're only in Walmart, which is very frustrating because I don't like going to Walmart. But most of them around here have, like, for some reason in this series of figures, they've made like 5 different Hulk Hogans. And I don't care about all 5 of them. Like, I have Hollywood Hogan and I have Hulkamania Hulk Hogan. That's the only 2 you need. The others they've come out with, it's like, no interest in it. And apparently nobody else has interest in it either because the shelves are full of them. Like, literally full of them. But some of the other figures from or some of the other wrestlers from the 80s, I'd really like to see them make figures of. I'd like to see they've got $1 Million Man out right now. I'd like to see them make IRS. That way you could have Money Inc. from the 80s. I'd like to see Demolition made. Kamala would be a cool one. I'd like to see a Dusty Rhodes. I've got the Ric Flair action figure. Oh, and that was another one I bought myself for Christmas, too. The company that's making the Rock and Roll Express, they're also coming out with a Tully Blanchard. It's actually a 2-pack. It's got Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA. I bought it, too. It's supposed to come in January. But I already got Ric Flair, and now I'm going to have Tully Blanchard. So I'm hoping they come out with, like, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson at some point. I could have the whole 4 horsemen. Look at this front rod right here. Something got that Shad right there. Did I imagine that? No, something's got it, by gosh. I thought something had hit that. We needed another fish. Need something bigger than this, but it's something at least. At least we know there's some tiny blues down there. Like there is some life here. Just much smaller than we would ideally want to be catching right now. Look at the thing wrapped around my finger. Y'all get that thing off my finger, would you? Oh, we got our line tangled up again. Come here, kitty. Let's get you undone. Okay, well, he ain't much, folks, but by gosh, it's a fish. It's something. It'll break the monotony here of me telling you about hoping they come out with a Arn Anderson action figure so that I can hopefully get me the 4 horsemen in the He-Man body style action figures. I'm all in on it, man. And then once I get my Rock and Roll Express, hell, then I'm going to be hoping they make a Midnight Express. It's just, I've went down the rabbit hole with it, folks. It's embarrassing, which I don't know why I'm telling you all about it, because y'all are going to make fun of me endlessly. But I'm just, I've got that thing all wrapped up there. How the hell did I do that? That happened yesterday, too. I'm not a fan of braid for catfishing. Braided line is just, especially in a kayak, it's just tangles waiting to happen. Let's see what we got going on here. I think we about... Okay, I see what we need to do. Loop it over that way. There we go. All right, let's send our shad back down. You know what I'm going to do? There's some of yous out there that's teetering on a midlife crisis yourself. And I'm telling you about my midlife crisis, and I'm going to end up talking you into buying some wrestling action figures. That's what's going to happen. Y'all are going to be going to, I'll tell you where to start too. Go to Ollie's. If you got an Ollie's in your area, they've probably got the Ric Flair for $3.99. Both of the Ollie's here, we got one in Knoxville and one in Maryville. Both of them got Ric Flair for $3.99. And my girlfriend found Bam Bam Bigelow there for $3.99. You can get some of them cheap on eBay too. You can get Hogan on there pretty cheap. Hollywood Hogan anyway. Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, those are pretty cheap. Shawn Michaels. But some of them is hard to find. Like I still ain't found the Hart Foundation. I haven't found the natural disasters. Earthquake and Typhoon. I haven't found Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. There's a lot of them. We got to talking about it, folks, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to open up my phone, and I'm going to try to... Y'all bear with me here. I'm going to get on here. I'm going to show you these damn Rock and Roll Express action figures I bought. Y'all don't give a damn about this, but here we are. We got to talk about something while we're fishing. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Here they are, folks. Well, you can't hardly see it. Let me turn this way. Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, man. See that? It's like a He-Man body style. But I think that, hell, they look pretty damn good. We need the Midnight Express now. They even come with the championship belts there. This is a company called Powertown. Now, Mattel makes the ones, the WWE Superstars line. This is like an off-brand, I guess. But I guess they've got deals with certain wrestlers, and Rock and Roll Express was ones that they got deals with. But here's the other one that I got too. That I didn't want the 2-pack. I don't care nothing about Magnum TA, but I wanted that Tully Blanchard. And you have to buy the 2-pack to get it, so I'm going to end up with the 4 Horsemen someday. The Magnum TA figure does look good, but I don't have any interest in it, really. I mean, look at that robe on that Tully Blanchard. That looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, folks, that style. Let me show you the other one, too. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull up the Road Warriors ones that I got. Because the Road Warriors, man, they got the shoulder pads with the spikes, everything. And the Road Warrior ones, they're the same body style. Okay, here we go. These are the same body style as He-Man, but they don't have any articulation. Like you can't bend the knees, you can't bend the elbows or anything. Like they're kind of a cheaper, which, I mean, they are cheaper, $29.99 for the 2-pack. Those WWE Superstars at Walmart are $20.97 a piece, and the Rock and Roll Express was $48.99, I think, there for the 2-pack. So I'm ridiculously proud. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm such an idiot. But these look really good, even though you can't move the knees or the elbows for posing them and stuff. There's Animal right there on that. But the shoulder, man, they're awesome. So, yeah, a little Christmas present to myself. And let me show you that Cobra Commander. Give me a second here while I Google. G.I. Joe Retro Classified Cobra Commander. I mean, it looks just like the one from the cartoon. Okay, here we go. Well, that's the figure with some backdrop, but yeah, okay, there's a better look at the figure. Yeah, I got it at Walmart. Comes with a little display stand and everything for setting him on a shelf. I've lost my damn mind, folks. Like, what's making me buy these toys? Like, what's wrong with me? I don't know, but I'm doing it. I'm going through it, buddy. Mainly with the wrestlers, but I see that Cobra Commander and I'm like, well, I got to have it. With the G.I. Joe, so when I was a kid, I would have battles with G.I. Joes. Like, I would build forts. I would, take everything down to the creek and play. And, like, I mean, I'd get out there in the creek. I'd take my G.I. Joe vehicles and boats and stuff. I'd build little forts for them. Like, I'd have full-on battles out there. As an adult, I can't remember how to play with it. Like, I remember doing it as a kid, but, like, my imagination don't work now. I've got these G.I. Joes. I try to play with them. I bust out my old ones from being a kid. I can't do it anymore. My imagination don't work. Apparently, my imagination now only works with women. It don't work with toys. But with the wrestling figures, again, I can't play with them like I did as a kid, but I got me one of them rings. And so, like today, when I get home, I'm going to pop my SD card from this camera into the computer. And while the files are transferring over, I'll sit there, right there at my desk, I'll set that ring up and I'll grab my Undertaker action figure and I'll grab Cactus Jack and Undertaker. I'll make him give him a choke slam or something. And I got Andre the Giant too, which he's probably the best figure in the whole lineup because he's actually a giant. Like, he's bigger than the other figures. The other figures are 5.5 inches, the He-Man style. The Andre the Giant ones, I think he's like 6 inches. I mean, he's like physically bigger than the others. It's awesome. But I'll have Hulk Hogan give him a body slam, like WrestleMania style, and then drop the leg on him. Like, I'll do that because even though my imagination don't work like it used to as a kid, with the wrestlers, I can at least go through the motions. With the G.I. Joes, I've got to set them up and be like, bang, bang, and like, it just, my mind don't work like that anymore. I can't do it. I wish I could. It was so much fun as a kid. I want to relive that now as an adult, but I can't. But the wrestlers, I can at least go through the motions. I watch enough. I mean, I watch wrestling. I don't watch the new stuff. It's awful. Although I did watch the Saturday night main event that WWE did recently when Jesse the Body Ventura came back. I thought it was pretty good overall. Wasn't like the old school Saturday night main event back in the 80s where the wrestlers were better and the commentary was better. But nevertheless, I watched it. But normally, when I'm just, before bed, I'll watch some videos or TV or something there, kill a little time. Most of the time, if I'm doing that, I'm watching some old wrestling match, something from the 80s. I'll pull up, I don't know, Rick Rude versus Boss Man or something, or, Hogan versus Andre, WrestleMania, and have that playing on there. And I watch a lot of old wrestling matches, and I actually stumbled across, I guess because I watched the most recent Saturday night main event that they just did. I think they're doing another one sometime in January. But I guess since I watched that, now YouTube is suggesting me the old Saturday night main events. And some of them you can watch the whole show on YouTube. And it's awesome, man. It's reliving my youth. But I guess that's what I'm doing, buying these damn wrestling figures. And I initially thought I bought that Ric Flair at Ollie's for $3.99, and then, of course, he's got to have somebody to wrestle, so you got to get another one, but I thought that would be it. And now I've got several of them now. and several more coming with the Rock and Roll Express and Tully Blanchard figures coming in January. And then I'm definitely going to get the Heart Foundation if I ever find them at the store. In February, the next line comes out with Jake the Snake and Ricky Steamboat, so I'll end up getting those. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I thought this was a fad, a phase, and it probably is, but it's lasted way longer than it should have. And I don't know how long do midlife crises last? This is the first one I've ever went through, so this is new to me. I don't know. You always hear stories of it. Some guy in his 40s leaves his wife, buys him a sports car, convertible, starts dressing different or something. You know, this is what you hear about. Thankfully, I'm not blowing money on sports cars and chasing women half my age, but for some reason, I'm buying toys. Trying to relive my youth. I'm nostalgic. I don't know why. I don't know how long it lasts, but for me, this started back in the summer. So we're 6 or 7 months into it now, and I'm as going strong in this midlife crisis as I was on day one. I need somebody to just smack me across the face, I reckon, and say, Justin, snap out of this. This is a total waste of money. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. You're not a child anymore, Justin. You're 42 years old. But instead, the people in my life are enabling me. I guess from my girlfriend's perspective, she's probably thinking, yeah, he's going through a midlife crisis, but it could be worse. At least he's not going in debt over a damn pick your sports car convertible, you know. Could be worse. $20 action figures, way cheaper than a $100,000 sports car. But by gosh, them $20 action figures, when you buy as many as I've gotten these last few months, it starts to add up. I start justifying it. I'm like, well, you know, it's Christmas. I'll buy myself a little present. Last year, I bought myself a drone that I actually crashed right up here. Fun fact. Other side of the river up from here is where I crashed that damn thing. First time out on the water using it. Tried to get it to land. It wouldn't land. It kept running from me. Now, eventually the battery ran out and I couldn't get to it before it sank. So if any of y'all out here, you dragging or something, maybe you snag that thing one day. Be careful with the SD card because I said a lot of cuss words. I don't know if it picked it up or not. I don't even know if it was filming. But boy, I was so mad. I could have bought a lot of action figures with what I lost on that drone. The drone was like $400 something. It was a cheaper drone, but I mean, it was still expensive. It's $400 something. I could have bought 20 action figures with that. I said, I ain't never having another drone again. What a dumb idea that was. My videos are such, I don't think a drone, I could get some cool pictures with the drones, but with the style of video I do, I don't know that a drone would really be, I don't know that it would add a lot to what I do, especially these unedited videos that are really more of a podcast, I guess, an on-the-water podcast, vlog style video than a full-on production like most of these people do when they've got drone footage. They're doing, most of the time when they do the drone footage, it's B-roll type stuff. They're not actually filming while they are fishing, which is what I had hoped to do. I in my mind, I thought, rod goes down, I'm going to pick up on that rod, then I'm going to set the rod back down, launch the drone, then pick the rod up again and get some, get the bulk of the fight while the drone is setting up over me or something. But again, that's one of those things that sounds good in theory, but in reality, who wants to just immediately set a rod back down and launch a drone instead of just reeling in the fish. I would probably lose fish more than I would catch them probably from just piddling around with the damn drone. Or crash the drone while I'm trying to land a fish. It was a recipe from disaster from the start. It was a dumb idea, but sometimes I get an idea in my head, whether it's dumb or not, I just have to go with it. I just have to do it. And that was one of them times that I did it. It was last Christmas. I bought that for myself, and I was right up there. Crashed and didn't crash and burn literally, but you get the point. Crashed and burned. Crashed and sank, I guess. It would be interesting to know. I bet it's a high percentage. People, especially fishermen that get drones, how many end up in the water? Because I think a lot of people, listen, if I'm going to tell you about me buying wrestling figures, there's not much more I could say that's going to be more embarrassing than that. But I think a lot of people would probably buy a drone. If they crash it, they're not going to tell you, their audience. They'd be too embarrassed to tell you. Me, I'll go ahead because that's the least embarrassing thing I'm going to say on this video. I mean, me talking about a Rock and Roll Express 2-pack of action figures as a 42-year-old man is pretty pathetic, I know. But it is the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, you got to give me a little credit there for that. Like, it's the Rock and Roll Express, man. That was when I was a kid. I mean, I'm talking little kid, 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old. Rock and Roll Express they were awesome. Them, wrestling the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. I mean, I'm getting nostalgic just thinking about it. That's like, I can picture my great-grandmother's living room with her and her recliner, cussing Jim Cornette, telling him where she's going to stick that tennis racket when she gets hold of him. Like, I can go back in time right now. Look right here on this rod. We're about to... Something nipped. They can't be nipping that now. That's our whole shad. Unless they get the fly that's under it there. He's still after it, though. Look at that. He hit it a couple times there. He's still after it. He needs to leave it alone and get something that's more appropriate for his size. My line's moving right there. You see it? It's moving to the right. Hell, he may be hooked up. Maybe he's got the fly under that bait or something. Oh, there he went. I think he got her bait too. Yeah, he did. He had him a big appetite. He had him an appetite bigger than he is. That's the first time that one's been messed with. I'm gonna put this other head on that we'd cut. I ain't gonna fish much longer because that sun's starting to go down. I'm getting cold and I need to get out of here anyway. I got plans this evening. I thought he might have had that fly. He had the dang shad. We still got a bunch of shad left. I ain't gonna have very many. Well, I'm gonna use it tomorrow, I reckon, but I'll probably reload after that because I don't like to use shad more than about 2 days, 3 days at the most because it just gets mushy. I want to keep my shad in pretty good shape. And they're so easy to get wherever I go tomorrow. I'll probably do like I did today, take our net and just get us some live threadfin if we can. I'm probably going to run this lighter action rod for a little while through the winter just to get us some extra bites because I mean, truth be told, if I wasn't running this lighter action rod today, I guess we'd have caught 2 fish. We got the big one and the other little one that hit the piece of cut bait. Which, granted, we ain't got much more than that anyway. But that lighter action rod did get us a little something extra. Normally, a video like this where I had such limited bites, I wouldn't even post. But since we got that really big fish, it's definitely going to hit YouTube. Anytime I get a fish like that, I'm going to find a way to get it on the channel. Now, if that had been the only bite we got, I'd have probably just put it on my second channel as a shorter video or something. But since we've got some bites in addition to that and kind of throughout the day here, it's not been a lights out kind of day. I'd certainly like to have had more action. Always do, no matter how many fish I get. But like I said, I suck during the winter and very inconsistent during the winter. So when I get a big fish like that, like I feel accomplished, like I'm going to go home happy. I tell you though, that sun back there, like it's still up, but like it's starting to go down and some clouds have moved in and the temperature has started to fall, folks. Like I can tell, and it may be too just because I've been out here a few hours now, like my core temperature's probably declined a little bit, but like I can feel the temperature change. I don't do good in cold. I'm not cut out for cold weather. I'd never make it living up north. Hell, I wouldn't want to make it living up north. What would you do for 6 months? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess, hell, as many wrestling figures as I've bought living down here, imagine if I was up north and I was stuck in the house even more than I am down here. I wouldn't have any wall space. There'd be wrestling figures and G.I. Joes everywhere. I guess there's worse things to spend your money on, though. Could be sports cars, could be drugs or alcohol, I guess. I don't know what all people do in their midlife crises. I should look up, though. I really should look up, how long do midlife crises last? What happens? What has to happen for you to snap out of it? Got to be something some epiphany, some awakening moment to get me back to normal. Surely I won't be like this my whole life, the rest of my life. We'll see. I guess time will tell. But as long as I'm still buying these damn things, you're going to be hearing about it, because it's a one-sided conversation out here since y'all don't talk back. So we got to talk about whatever pops into my mind. So if a wrestling figure pops into my mind, I mean, when I eventually find Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart out at a store somewhere, y'all probably going to hear about it. When the Rock and Roll Express show up at my doorstep, so hopefully sometime in January, I hope it don't get pushed back, but y'all going to hear about it. They have these channels on YouTube, folks, and it's pretty damn amazing what they can do. They're talented people. And there's a G.I. Joe channel too, but he don't post very much. But he makes like battle scenes and movies with his G.I. Joes. And like instead of like a real person actor playing the part in his movie, it'll be G.I. Joe's playing the movie or playing the actor part. And it's really good. Like, I mean, it's got to be a lot of work putting those together. And the G.I. Joe YouTuber guy, he don't get very many views, which is surprising because his work is really good. But there's another one I found recently that's a wrestling channel, and they take wrestling figures, not the kind I got, but like the 6-inch version, the more detailed ones. And they've got like a whole wrestling promotion show. Like they put on regular events with them wrestling action figures with storylines, commentary, entrance music, entrances, everything for them. It's amazing the work, and he gets hundreds of thousands of views every video. Like, I watch some of them and I'm like, man, that's a better wrestling program with his action figures than what's on TV currently today. With WWE, like, it's a real production. I mean, I forget what it's called, GC Wrestling, GCW Wrestling. Hellfire, let me look it up. If I'm gonna plug him, I might as well plug him right. G something, G. That ain't it. Well, Hellfire. That's frustrating. What the hell? Why can't I ever remember anything? This is so incredibly frustrating that I can't ever remember anything. I thought it was... No, this is it. It was not GC, it's WSC. Yes. WSC Stage Creator. 534,000 subscribers. Look at this. This one here 3 weeks ago, he had a match with his figures. I'm not going to play these on video here because I'd probably get a copyright ding. But 290,000 views. 157,000, 142,000, 777,000 views. He had a 57-minute Royal Rumble match with his action figures. And I'm telling you, man, the commentary on this is amazing. His video work, like, you don't see hands or anything. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's really a production. But I mean, he's getting, every video he posts goes viral. It's amazing. Like, I'm blown away with it. So anyway, if you're tired of listening to me talking about wrestling figures and you want to watch somebody play with them, that one's the one to watch. Pretty good stuff. Pretty crazy. I mean, whatever you're into in 2024 going into 2025 here, there's an audience for it. Like, whatever you're into, there's somebody that's out there into the same thing. There's apparently a lot of people that's into wrestling figures based on the number of views he's getting. Maybe I'm not as pathetic as what I sometimes think I am every time I buy one of these figures. What time was it? Let me look at my phone again and see what time it is. Yeah, it's 4:36. I need to get out of here, folks. I need to skedaddle. I do have plans tonight, so... time I get back, get loaded up, everything, be after 5 o'clock. I need to go. Y'all, we gave it to college tryout here. We got that big fish. That was awesome. But they really ain't been a whole lot to go with it. Just some really small blues. No flatheads today, but again, I'm going home. I got a big cat, man. I got a big blue. There's a lot of days I don't even get that. So I'm going home happy. Thanks for sitting with me through this. I think this video, pretty sure it's coming out New Year's Eve, so hope you have a happy new year. Hope you and your family are safe. Hope you're going to have a great 2025. I know I'm sure as hell going to try. So anyway, y'all, I'll see you on the next trip. Hopefully, we'll catch a few more fish then. I'll see you then.